And now it's time to go far beyond the world again. And this could be a long video, that's all I'm going to say. I spend several hours buried snugly in the memory of his warm embrace, which carries me through the night. Eventually I'm stirred awake by gentle shaking on my shoulder. It's a struggle to open my eyes, but as I blink in the dim light of the room, I can see Ranok standing above me in full gear. Confused by the darkness, I look towards the window. It's still night.
Well, I have to leave before dawn.
Why? I mutter groggily, still firmly gripped by my calm dream.
Well, I've taken morning patrol duties. If all goes well, I might return earlier than yesterday.
I rub my eyes, getting out of the bed. Immediately my teeth begin to chatter as the chill of the early morning envelops me. Fuck, it's cold. It's a wonder I didn't freeze to death in my sleep.
Well...
He looks at me with a cheeky grin. Oh no, what have I done now?
We kind of spent most of the night spooning together. Not that I blame you, furless little creep.
He winks at me, ruffling my messy hair. For someone who claims to be straight as an arrow, he doesn't seem to mind getting intimate. I'm sorry.
Well, don't be.
He waves his paw at me.
Well, as I said, I get it. It is a cold night.
I seriously need to get some clothes.
Oh, I'll talk to Verissa. Maybe she has a spare dress you could borrow.
I give him a death stare. Not even remotely funny. He laughs me off, clearly amused by the idea.
Who said it was a joke?
I rub my arms energetically, trying to warm up as the wolf takes curious glances around the room. I think he's only now noticing my exploits from the previous day.
Is it just me, or did you clean the entire house?
Oh, yeah. I mumble awkwardly.
You don't have to do anything around here. You know this, right?
He asks, almost as if my effort weighs heavily on his consciousness. Well, Bull might be calling me a piglet, but that doesn't mean I have to live in a pigsty. I blurt out cheekily, catching him off guard. He quickly laughs it off, giving me a teasing smirk.
Well, forgive me, my lord. Is my humble abode not to your liking?
Oh, stop it. I shake my head as he bids me to follow with a gesture of his paw.
Come.
The wolf disappears into the other room when I go after him, opening the kitchen hearth is already burning. I'm relieved to see that it is, and I place myself next to it, my skin seeping in all the warmth it can get. I look at the wolf with confusion as he grabs a bowl from the table and stirs something inside of it.
Verissa gave me an idea for a nice treat.
Oh? I approach him as he invites me to inspect the contents. I gaze curiously inside the bowl and immediately recognize a familiar batter. Pancakes? I ask with glee.
Mm-hmm.
He smiles toothily as his tail gives an energetic flick.
Glad to see she is correct.
You've got morning duties, yet you woke up early to get the breakfast ready. He's so busy, yet still finds time to do something special just for us.
Well, it's only fair after that lovely rub-down you gave me.
The wolf rotates his right shoulder with clear relief.
Well, I feel like a newborn pup.
I almost blush at the comment, really glad I was able to ease him up. Still, I think he's only saying that to make me feel good. My massage was sloppy at best.
Well, I need to compensate you for the complete makeover of my house.
Again he looks around awkwardly, clearly embarrassed that I cleaned. I watch as he rubs his hind paw across the wooden panels, causing him to squeak.
The floor wasn't this shiny since I laid it down with wool.
I just chuckle, shaking my head with amusement as I walk towards the cupboard to wash up. It was nothing really. Give me something to do.
Oh? Well then, perhaps next time you could rethatch my roof.
He proposes through a snark, and I simply shrug.
Sure, can you show me how it's done? Oh, I was only joking.
He sounds almost offended.
I honestly don't want you to do menial tasks around the house. Despite our circumstances, you are my guest.
But how else am I supposed to earn a treat from you? I wink, really amused by how uncomfortable my housework made him.
Well, I'll feed you well, regardless of services rendered. Don't you worry about that.
He huffs and I finally face the water bowl. I thought you said you can't bring food home.
Father gave me permission on account of you being here.
I reluctantly touch the water and blink. It's warm. I throw my head back to look at the wolf, who smiles at me with satisfaction.
I warmed it up for you. Don't want you cussing again.
He laughs and I quickly divert my gaze, getting slightly choked up. That wolf has been extremely considerate. Even with his paws full, he tries to accommodate me in every possible way. Speaking of paws, I've noticed him using both without a clear dominant one. Are you ambidextrous?
My, isn't that a mouthful?
I wash my hands and throw him a confused gaze. I mean, you're using both paws equally.
Oh yeah? Why?
Nothing, it's just quite impressive. I cup some water with my palm, slushing it across my arms.
We're all trained from pups to use both paws equally. It's quite important for combat. Weren't you?
He asks as I wash my face. Why would I be? Do I look like a soldier?
Huh, you certainly don't sound like one.
Ranok only chuckles while I shake my head and dry my skin with a towel.
Right, I've got some blueberries and bacon.
He points to the table where I find 2 plates with already prepared ingredients.
Well, I don't mind sweet foods, but I do need some meat with my meals.
Well, you are a wolf. I chuckle.
So, what's it going to be? You want blueberries with yours, or bacon?
Ooh, how about both? I immediately think about the breakfast from yesterday. The combination worked fine for me. If I was early duty, I don't want to waste too much time fiddling with variations. Both sounds interesting, plus less hassle.
My type of guy.
I watched the wolf dump the berries and cured bacon into the bowl and mix them energetically into the batter.
Right, you'll do the honours.
He passes me the bowl and walks off to fetch the iron pan. Once he secures it in the fire, he points at the table.
Grab a stick of butter. We need to grease it up.
Sure. I nod, placing down the bowl and grabbing a large fork from the mantel. I impale the butter with it and approach the hearth. Ranok looks at me with joy as I press the stick onto the pan, melting its bottom side and gliding it across the surface. I cannot help but notice his tail swings each time I do something to his satisfaction. It's almost as if he's saying, "Attaboy," which is kind of ironic considering only one of us is a canine. Once the pan is glistening, I return the butter back to the table and grab the bowl. Large ones or small?
Up to you, my lord.
Oh, give it a rest already. I scoff merrily at his tease and simply plop a large dollop of batter in the centre. I never claimed to be a noble. You're the one who keeps spoiling me.
Yeah, well, I might have an ulterior motive. Oh? Best way to jog some memories is to engage the senses.
I chuckle, nodding in agreement. He isn't wrong. This does stir something deep inside my subconsciousness. I must have done this with someone back before, well, any of this. The homely feeling that fills my heart as I watch the pancake brown confirms it.
Whoop!
Ranok laughs as he flips the pancake in the air. I join his merriment, completely thrown off by how accustomed I've become to his antics. I simply shake my head and move the ready pancake onto the plate and pour another spoonful of batter onto the pan. I watch in silence as it browns, seeing Ranok give me a cheeky side-eye from time to time. His tale leaves no doubt that the wolf is really happy. Am I reading too much into this? Is it normal for a guy to be so lovable? I'm so helplessly confused. In total we fry 6 pancakes, all the while the wolf shows off, flipping them flamboyantly into the air. I cannot help but laugh each time he tries to win my attention and approval. Once the food is ready, we sit down to the table.
You can eat them on their own, or...
He points to 2 small clay pots.
Sprinkle them with either one of those. Ooh, or both.
He flashes his brows at me in another tease. I give a quick glance at the contents of each jar, both looking golden and clear. Honey? I guess, to which the wolf nods. And this?
Birch syrup.
I tilt my head in confusion, quickly realizing it's probably similar to the maple one. Noticing my hesitance, the wolf removes a wooden dipper from the jar and brings it over to me. He holds his paw beneath, making sure the syrup doesn't splash all over the table. A red blush paints over my face quicker than I can realize. He's playing me like a fiddle.
Well, try it.
He encourages with a kind smile. I part my trembling lips, shyly sticking my tongue out to touch a golden strand dribbling from the dipper. A mix of floral and caramel-like sweetness hits me, and I close my eyes to truly enjoy it. I wasn't wrong. It is quite like maple syrup, although much stronger in flavour. A bit more complex.
You like it?
I nod, covering my face as I lick the excess from my lips. Why are you being so seductive all the damn time?
Well, they combine quite well.
The wolf smiles as he pours the syrup over his pancakes. True to his words, he then proceeds to glaze them over with golden strands of honey, and I'm tempted to do the same when a thought occurs to me. How are you going to eat this without getting all gooey and sticky?
Well, I had some cutlery borrowed from the villa, so that my liege won't have to use his fingers.
He reveals to me 2 silver forks, repeatedly raising his brows in jest. Yeah, you're unbelievable.
Unbelievably thoughtful, you mean?
Actually, yeah, I'm not going to admit it. I'll show him the 2 of us can play this game. What do patrol duties involve? I ask absent-mindedly, drizzling my pancakes in the same fashion, strands of both the syrup and honey zigzagging across their surface.
We check the forest for any sign of intrusion.
You mean any more of me? He laughs at the remark.
Well, there can be only one of you.
He winks at me coyly, and I widen my eyes in embarrassment.
Well, I kind of reached my quota. Any more humans and even spirits won't be able to save us from the chopping block.
Smooth save. I flash my brows to let him know I'm aware of what he's doing, and simply dig into my meal, trying to conceal my blush. I cut off a piece of my pancake with a fork and then bring it up to my mouth. As I take a bite, I immediately close my eyes with satisfaction. Damn, this hits a spot, and sends me down my vacant memory lane. Even though I cannot summon any images, I know I've had pancakes before. The delicious mixture of meat and berries, the syrup and honey, it's beyond description. I almost melt in the chair at the gooey delight bursting in my mouth with flavour. I'm brought back to the world of the living by the sound of his tail thumping against the chair. He looks at me with absolute joy, clearly happy that his treat did the trick. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The wolf nods, digging into his food. What else do you do on patrols?
We keep an eye on the general health of the forest. We track the game, look for any signs of disease, both in wildlife and the trees. He explained, shoveling a whole pancake into his muzzle.
We won't dry wood to avoid forest. I wince as the wolf struggles to speak with his mouth full. His casual manners are almost endearing, and I chuckle as he finally swallows the food down with a loud sigh.
That sort of stuff.
I watch carefully as he gets up and walks towards the barrel to fill up his mug with ale.
We also do war games with the packs, exercise and spar. I try to keep my pack well trained and ready for anything.
He takes a sip as he sits back down. Your pack?
Yeah, our tribe is divided into 6 packs. They're an elite group of 6 high-skilled wolves, warriors, hunters and rangers. 7th being the alpha, the leader.
Who's your alpha then? He narrows his eyes with a bemused smile.
I did say my pack, didn't I?
The wolf reveals with a twinge of pride in his voice.
You're the alpha.
I almost exclaimed, choking slightly on my food.
And that surprises you?
No, just... Wow. Ranok receives my praise with satisfaction. I mean, he's already impressive as is, but I still smile. He's quite prominent within his tribe, no doubt about that. Must be so much pressure on someone so young. I guess this is why he's so confusing when it comes to feelings. He doesn't want anyone to have any reason to undermine his position. Everything in his life conspires to box him up tightly and then keep him like that forever. There's Vull in your pack. He snorts, looking at me with a mocking expression. Oh, does Vull look like someone who takes orders? Fair point. He's also an alpha. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, our respective packs are actually competing for dominance. Doesn't that strain your relationship? Well, enhances it, really. We keep each other on our toes and in peak condition. Thanks to that, my father has the 2 best packs in the entirety of Tiernan. We're well respected by the other tribes. I blush, really amazed I landed in the lap of those 2 impressive wolves. This is quite the company I found myself in. Not only they saved my life, but also risked everything in doing so. Their freedom, their positions, even their lives. Times like this, I really do wish I was a lost human noble. At the very least, I would have been worth all that trouble. We continue with our breakfast, Ranok going quite fast about it, almost devouring the food with loud, satisfying chomps. I don't know why, but something about his jagged fangs is almost enticing. I try not to be too obvious, so I sneak secret gazes to admire his muzzle at work. What's wrong with me? Alright, I've got to run, he says, emptying his mug in one go. He bangs it on the table and rushes off, ruffling my hair as he passes by. Well, I'll try to be back by late afternoon. I already asked Father if I could dine with you today. We'll have our own little feast tonight. He's practically beaming at the revelation. In all fairness, it lifts my spirits. Good luck on your patrol. I smile as he opens the door. Well, I make my own luck. He winks again and leaves the house. Cocky bastard. I look down at my still full plate. I've barely gone through one of the pancakes. The meal is delicious, but also very filling. Not to mention it's extremely early. Looking at the window, it's hard to gauge what time it is, but I bet it's somewhere in the range of 4 a.m. I gaze back to my pancakes, feeling rather reluctant to leave them unfinished. Not only Ranok poured a lot of effort into them, but also the syrup will change them into an edible mush within the next hour or so. I continue with my breakfast half-heartedly, feeling increasingly full. In all fairness, I've been eating very little since I woke up. Although I do sense hunger now and then, I find myself easily sated. Not to mention my strained thoughts, I'll often lose my appetite. And just like that, I'm reminded that I am alone. At least I'm not left in the darkness. After yesterday, this kitchen seems less friendly than usual. I tap my hands on the table, trying to figure out how to occupy myself. My wandering thoughts are the cause of my freakouts, then I cannot stay idle for long. Don't suppose I could clean the house all over again. That would be lunacy. I sigh, reluctantly approaching the cupboard and picking up the blue tome. The Great Tiger Rebellion. What a title. How funny it would be to have pop quizzes based on this nonsense. They did those at a school. I can almost recall a classroom filled with chatter and laughter. The image is blurry, with faces blank and distorted, disappearing almost instantly into the ever-present nothingness in my mind. I was educated. I used to study a lot. I can't remember what or why, but I used to stay up late with a book like this, or wake up early to catch up on my studies before an exam. Curious. I gaze around the room, realizing how familiar this setting really is. He was right. The best way to jog one's memories is to engage the senses. This little realization fills me with hope. If an early read can summon even a glimpse of my past life, then perhaps with time I'll manage to regain more of what was lost the more activities we get to do. Ranok is quite smart for someone who's supposedly born with a sword in his paw. I wonder, do wolves even have a school? Should I mention the Ranok that I used to study, or will he mock me once again for being born in high places? I can almost hear his la-di-da, young lordling, read books instead of learning how to fight, or something along the lines. I just chuckle, shaking off this little sidetracking thought. I guess it doesn't really matter. I recline comfortably, set on giving the book another go. Apparently the first major battle of the rebellion took place right here in Tiernan. The Tegerii and Sylvan folk decimated an entire Leonine army within these woods. It was the first defeat dealt to the Lions, which proved the other kin of Avalon that their overlords were not invincible. From that point onward, the rebellion grew in scope, with more creatures banding together to overthrow the tyrants. The rest of the book is filled with dates and names, a very crowded parade of characters spanning nearly a century of conflict. I try to pay as much attention to detail as possible, but considering I really have no context for any of this, most of the information goes in one eye and out the other. I flick the pages idly, munching on the remaining pancakes from time to time. A long yawn interrupts my reading, and look around and notice it's already quite bright outside. Resigned, I just close the book shut. Lions bad, tigers good, everyone lived happily ever after. Clearly it's a biased writing and won't help me hold a proper conversation with Ranok, rather only fuel his frustration. With day arriving in full swing, at least I don't have to worry about the dark. I approach the window and admire how nice it is outside. The weather seems absolutely lovely, not a single cloud in the sky and the warm sun reaching out to everything it can touch. I close my eyes and enjoy the warmth on my skin. I stay there for a few minutes, almost losing myself in the moment, till the familiar nagging feeling stirs inside of me. I really need a hobby. What do people even do when home alone? Protect it from intruders. And 'tis not the season yet. I chuckle, shaking my head in that absurd thought to which I have no context. My gaze darts back to the books, and really unsettled by the idea that all I have to kill time with is an equivalent of a foreign encyclopedia. I don't know why, but I have a feeling it was much easier to be entertained back where I'm from. I can't think of a single thing I would do, but I'm darn sure I wasn't this helpless. I really need to get out of this damned house. It almost feels as if the walls are watching me, waiting for me to lower my guard. I don't know why, but my breath slightly speeds up. I begin struggling for air as my windpipe clenches shut, as if Vol was strangling me again. An overwhelming feeling of dread falls upon me as I look around the room in fear. What's going on? I gasp, clutching my chest, feeling my heart pounding like a drum. My eyes tear up, and once I'm hyperventilating, I know the panic has already set in. No, no, no! Why is this happening in broad daylight? I'm losing control again. This is wrong. I cannot give in. There is no escape. What is this? Why am I here? You are already dead. No. No. This can't be real. Let me go. Give in to your weakness. I desperately draw in air, breathing heavily as if I just resurfaced from a deep dive. I feel so vulnerable and empty, as if all the joy and happiness got sucked out of me. I look around the kitchen, shocked as consumed by darkness and twisted in an unnatural way. What the fuck is going on? My heart jumps out of my chest as a torturous moan echoes across the house. Stop it! I shout out, tears flowing freely as I drop to my knees, huddling to the floor. Please, stop it! I beg to no avail. I feel watched, oppressed, as if someone stood above me, judging and finding me wanting. Ranok! I mumble out, hoping that Wolf could hear me wherever he is. He's the only one who can make this go away. Through the memory of tender moments we shared, I slowly climb out of this pit of despair. That wolf, good and caring, is the hope I cling to. A hope that he'll walk in through these doors and save me. I grunt, feeling physically oppressed, as if something tried to push me down to the floor. My face is pressed against the wooden panels, the very same I cleaned. I can almost see my reflection on the glistening surface, remembering how awkward it made him.
It hasn't been this shiny since I laid it with wool.
That's when I realise it is his house, built with love and care. A house he allowed me to stay in, to keep me safe and give me shelter. I push back against the invisible force, emboldened by this newfound resolve. I look back at the kitchen, my mind clearing and my breath stabilising. I am safe here. This is his home. My determination grows stronger with each passing moment. You cannot torment me here. I shout out defiantly, vision of the grey wolf giving me strength to oppose the shadows. Go away! And just like that, the nightmarish vision dissipates as it was never there. At first, I'm stunned I managed to banish it, almost cautious it's just another trick. I rush towards the window, pressing myself against the glass. Dark clouds cover the sky and a heavy slush of water fills my ears. It's raining cats and dogs out there, but it's still very much daytime. When did the weather turn? I rub my temple in confusion, trying to rationalise how I slipped out for so long. With a shaky step I approach a table and sit down, trying to stabilise my breath. I wasn't drinking anything this time. Something's terribly wrong with me. I slowly begin to realise why emotions shift so violently. There are those ripples of self-doubt and self-deprecation echoing across my mind, almost as if preying on my moments of weakness. Despite masking themselves as my inner thoughts, they feel so cold and dark that I slowly start to notice the difference. How did the hours go by without me realising? It's almost as if I were in a trance. As upsetting as this revelation is, I take solace in the fact that I can fight back. The grey wolf is the key in that struggle. The onset of heavy rain outside deepens my feelings of sorrow and loneliness. I decide to retreat to the bedroom where Ranok's scent is the strongest. It might be odd, but I need to feel the wolf near me, even if it's in an esoteric sense. I sit myself quietly on the window ledge, looking at the soaked world outside. The rain rhythmically taps on my window, slushing down the glass and distorting the view. I hug my knees tight to my chest. I hate being alone. Whenever I'm sitting with my own thoughts, I'm instantly filled with terror. With no memories to go by, my mind is akin to the void, boundless and empty, and with so much space, the shadows roam free. I try making up some memories, some happy distractions. I think about days gone by when I go out on an afternoon like this and run through the grass, getting wet and dirty, an imaginary friend at my side while we dance in the rain. I must have done that. Immediately I picture this friend be Ranok, his fur soaked and dripping. I chuckle, wondering if he'd smell bad. Again I feel warmth going down my cheeks in two streaks, in tears. I feel so alone here, so helplessly alone. No parents, no people to call my own, just this wolf and his cottage. As lovely and adorable as he is, he cannot compensate for an entire life lost to the void. My friends, potential siblings, my mom and dad. In all honesty, I'm just an orphan at this point. I'm so consumed by despair that I jump up when a familiar paw lands on my back. Ranok! I gasp, startled out of my skin. I try not to look at him, despair in the view. I get a glance at the wolf's sad expression. You're crying again. I adjust myself, facing him with a brave smile. I rub my tears away and hang my feet off the side of the ledge. It's just the rain. I chuckle, not wanting to trouble him with my constant freakouts. He raises one brow and quickly looks around the room, paws extended to either side as if he wants to catch imaginary droplets. Doesn't seem to be raining inside. He draws a laugh from me. For someone so big and important, he can be such a goofball at times.
But seriously, you're sitting in the dark again.
The wolf grumbles, giving me a more stern look.
I told you it's not good for you. Praekin don't deal well with darkness, especially when distressed.
Humans aren't praekin,
are they?
I narrow my brows in confusion. Besides, I didn't want to waste your candles for a silly rain. I make up an excuse, not really wanting to admit I was so far gone that my mind was incapable of a logical thought. Seeing my reaction, the wolf smiles awkwardly.
Well, I feel bad about leaving you alone.
I understand. You have duties. I look back at the world beyond the window. The rain doesn't let up, but despite that it's getting quite bright, as if the clouds are slowly parting. The wolf notices that too, and lowers his head so his muzzle can fit into the gap I've left in the niche.
Well, an hour or so it won't be so gloomy.
I don't mind rain. I utter the words with a defeated tone. Rain can be nice, especially on such a warm day.
Well, it depends.
Ranok sounds hesitant and it forces me to regard him. It's strange to see his powerful jaw so close to my face, his lips curved into an expression of discontent, one fang sticking out in that now familiar fashion. That's when I notice he's all wet, fur clumped together in soggy streaks. I can't help but smile at the sight of this damp wolf. I move my face closer, almost to his cheek, which causes his eyes to quickly centre on me. He's cautious and I can feel his slight embarrassment. He doesn't move. Once my nose is almost touching his fur, I take 2 quick sniffs. You don't smell. I muse with satisfaction.
Should I?
I pull away at his confusion. Don't know why, but I thought a wet wolf would smell bad. Ranok straightens up, looking down at me with a bold smirk.
Oh?
That's when he shakes his entire body, akin to what a wild wolf would do. His neck fluff and longer strands of fur dance around, sending droplets cascading in all directions. Mostly on me. Ranok, what the hell? I yelp out as I'm being showered with this cold, woven rainwater. Finally the air fills with the subtle scent of his musk, dewy and reminiscent of the forest in the early hours of the morning. I look up at him, my skin speckled with rain, slight annoyance in my expression as it's quickly replaced with terror. Ranok, no, don't you dare! My screams turn into squeals as the giant wet beast envelops me in his arms. I struggle in vain as he lifts me up with ease. He tilts us backwards, allowing gravity to do the rest. I slink into his waterlogged fur, struggling to breathe, my feet kicking in the air. I start laughing while he spins us around, dripping water all over the place. You're an idiot. I laugh as we finally come to a stop and he plops me back onto the ledge. I grimace at the wet splat and realise he sat me down directly into a puddle that formed there. The loincloth is stuck uncomfortably to my bottom, with the cold sending shivers down my legs. I immediately jump off.
Sat in something?
He grins smugly. I try to shove him in retaliation, but despite putting real effort into it, the wolf doesn't budge, while I feel as if I just rammed the wall. Ranok simply laughs at my futile attempt at roughhousing.
Well, I would pay you back, but I'm afraid you'd fly out the window.
I simply nod in agreement, looking back at the world outside. If we ignore the broken glass and splinters, it doesn't sound all too bad.
Oh?
He inquires with amusement. At least I'll be out of this damn house.
Are you not happy here?
Oh, it's not that. You take great care of me. I couldn't wish for more. I shake my head, causing the wolf to smile in relief. I'm slowly losing my mind here. When I'm alone, it's like the walls close in and whisper at me.
What do they whisper about?
This question causes me to pause, unsure if I want to unpack everything that's going on with me. I decide to brush it off in a half-teasing manner. That I'm inadequate? I reply in partial jest.
Are you saying that my house is secretly throwing shade at you? That's probably because you refuse to piss on it. We wolves always mark our territory. It took offence.
He sneers and I just chuckle. It's hardly my territory, is it?
While you're here, my territory is your territory.
Well played. But despite him lifting my mood, I really do need to get out to this cottage. Since we're both wet now. I looked in with a pleading smile. We could just as well go out for a walk. Just a short one. Seeing him frown, I know it's not an option. He looks at me apologetically.
We really shouldn't.
Everyone knows I'm here anyway.
You're not supposed to be seen.
We'll go into the woods. No one will be there in this rain. And even if... let them see. Keeping me out of sight only adds to the rumours. How are the tribe wolves to ever see me for who I am and being hidden like a dirty secret? They'll continue to fear and speculate as long as we continue this. I can see Ranok is unconvinced, standing there silent with his arms crossed. I'm not a prisoner, am I? I asked partially in jest, but also to make him understand how this situation is starting to feel.
Well, of course not.
He seems almost offended. And I'm not an embarrassment to you or anything.
What gave you that idea?
Again I look out the window, this time a smile clearly dawning my face. Then a walk would be lovely. Ranok approaches the window. I watch as his massive form passes next to me, his scent permeating the air. He rests one paw on the wall as he hunches slightly to look out. His ears splay back as he turns to me with a pleading expression.
You want to go out in this weather? Can't we wait until it stops at least?
Then you say that too many wolves are about. I grin, gently embracing his free paw with both hands. He looks down on my gesture while I start tugging in the direction of the door. Come on, it'll be fun. Ranok remains hesitant, but eventually smiles back at me and allows himself to be pulled towards the doors. I'm forced to make up memories. Might as well make real ones with a real friend at my side. I don't know why I've said it out loud. I'm instantly glad I have. The wolf's smile widens, his tongue slightly peeking out of his muzzle. Did he just bluff at me? I can hear his tail swoosh behind us in excitement as it splatters the floor with more water. You go out front and I'll go through the window. I laugh at the absurdity of our little outing arrangement.
Okay, just give me a moment to leave my gear behind.
The wolf nods happily and walks off while I rush to the ledge and open the wings. The rain slushes over the sill, immediately creating a puddle that leaks into the room. I guess I'll give him an excuse to clean the house again. I push myself over the edge, waiting for the wolf on the other side. The cool droplets contrast immediately with the warm breeze gently kissing my skin every now and then. This is quite invigorating. I laugh as Ranok finally arrives in his sorry state, his fur clumped and hanging heavily. A wet wolf! I laugh at him, forgetting that in this scenario he has the upper paw. His determined, challenging smirk proves I've just made a mistake. Within a second he's on me, enveloping me again in his soggy fur.
An even wetter human.
Yep. At first I struggle in his embrace, only causing more water to drip onto me, but eventually I simply surrender. As the wolf pulls away with a cheeky smile, I cannot help but to laugh with him. He's such a pup.
Said the tiniest adult I've ever seen in my life.
He sneers and I just shake my head. Come on, let's go. I pull at his paws, he's still reluctant to move from his spot. I want to take my wolf for a walk. I jest and Ranok smiles, almost smitten by my words. Just as I'm about to let go of him, he takes a firm hold of my hand. I try to contain a blush as we walk into the trees, hand in paw. We walk away from the cottage with no soul to be found, as everyone is hidden from the rain. I can see the soggy fur isn't a sensation Ranok enjoys. I begin to think it's a shared sentiment among his kin. Despite his clear discomfort, he walks with me, a joyful gait to his step. I can see he's happy for me, happy to do something to help me feel better, and I cannot be more thankful. Everything smells so fresh and new, and I take it all in. Eventually we leave the thicket surrounding the cottage, enter a large glade dotted with dandelions. I laugh, letting go of Ranok's paw and simply spin around. Despite how gloomy this day is, the meadow looks cheery and bright with each golden flower glimmering like a star in the dark. So many of them. It's so beautiful.
Well, just weeds.
He scoffs in amusement. There's nothing prettier than a yellow flower on a rainy day. I look up, closing my eyes and allowing the raindrops to wash over my face. I bring my hands to my brows, hearing up the excess water of the laugh. It's wonderful. It feels so invigorating and cathartic, almost as if the taint of darkness had been washed away from me and has cleansed of all my worries and troubles. I notice the wolf looking at me with dreamy eyes. He seems truly glad to see me this way, even though his ears are flat and tail tucked. He's enduring this for my sake. I laugh again as I approach him and grab his paw. I tug one more time, pulling us into a sprint. He doesn't ask why and simply matches my speed as we run through the glade, blades of grass sloshing at our legs and joint laughter filling the air. I see the mist rising, with delicate sun shafts piercing through the clouds every now and then, bathing us with speckled light. All seems like a dream.
What brought this up?
He tugs at my hand with attention, look at him with a wide smile, just blinking away the rain. Although we come to a stop, I still wander around in place.
You're practically beaming. Did you remember something?
The wolf asks with clear hope in his voice. No. I chuckle. But I will remember this. I stretch out my arms, simply enjoying the moment. Ranok opens his muzzle in surprise, but quickly smiles boldly, approaching me with purpose.
Well, I can give you something else to remember.
And before I can even react to the statement, the large wolf rushes at me at full speed. I don't have a chance to duck his paws and envelop the back of my head and spine. He tackles me and pins me to the ground, the embrace cushioning the fall as I release a loud oof. The only discomfort I feel comes from his crushing weight pushing me deep into the wet grass. Ranok! I yell out, and before I know it, he starts to roll us. The world spins around as I gasp for air each time I'm above the grass. I hear the wolf laughing, his deep voice rumbling inside his chest, and I just join his glee. Everything smells like the forest view, his wet fur gently slapping my face on each rotation. Suddenly he releases the embrace and allows the force of our last roll to throw me off into the grass. I land on my back, hands stretched out, almost touching his paw, as we lie next to each other, breathing heavily. I gaze into the sky, seeing as the rain slowly lets up and the clouds begin to part. I smile, noticing the first signs of a rainbow forming, the colourful arch stretching just in front of us.
You're right.
The wolf croons in the afterglow of our frolic.
Rain can be nice.
He smiles. Anything can be nice when you're around. I catch myself exhaling in utter bliss. The wolf blinks at the statement and turns to face me.
You really mean it?
He asks in disbelief. Of course. There isn't a shred of doubt in my mind. Ever since I woke up in this strange world, Ranok has been at my side, always supportive and encouraging. He keeps my darkest thoughts in check, and my empty mind slowly fills with memories that I wouldn't trade for those I've lost. You're my anchor, my safe haven. I admit, giving him an encouraging gaze, and sees struggling to hide his emotions. I mean it.
When we first met, with you tied up and bruised, and then stabbed, I thought you would never...
Never say never. I interrupt him. No point for us to relive any of that. We're here and now. I look back to the rainbow, filled with unexplainable hope. I search for a distraction, but inside I've got a reminder. No matter how heavy the storm is, eventually the sun always comes out. One just has to simply weather it, and I fully intend to. I smile, holding down tears, looking at the wolf beside me. He's admiring the colourful arch as if he'd seen it for the very first time. I bet in his highly structured life it's easy to lose sight of the simple things. I'm glad we got to share this moment together. Would anyone trade it for an unknown? Thank you, Ranok, for everything. He simply nods. I close my eyes, and for the first time I truly allow myself to enjoy the present, just as he told me to do on the very morning I was stabbed. Despite both Varissa and Vul calling him a fool, he has the wisdom of the heart, and I find myself trusting it more and more. If I have a compass, it's pointing at him. I might be really falling for that wolf. We spent some time resting in the glade, not really talking much, just enjoying each other's company. The sun came out in full force, caressing us with warm rays and drying off the rain. I could stay here forever, but eventually we'd get up, deciding it's time to head back. We walked towards the cottage, laughing and pushing one another in a teasing fashion. Despite how wet he got, Ranok's mood seems to be soaring.
Well, that was quite fun.
I nod as he helps me up the window. Again his paws wrap around my butt. This time I rather enjoy it.
Oh, don't slip.
I nod, watching the wolf rush off into the distance. As I slide from the wet ledge, my feet cause a splash. Notice that pretty much the entire bedroom is flooded. A shallow puddle formed, reaching all the way towards the bed. I simply fetch one of the buckets from the kitchen, noticing Ranok enter. He's dressing up again.
Right, I've got to see my father real quick to deal with a few things.
But it's all wet.
Well, I can't very well see the chief just in my pants now, can I?
I guess. I chuckle, seeing the wet cloak slap against his back. Poor wolf.
Oh, don't worry, I'll be back in a moment.
I nod and bring the bucket back to the bedroom. I use one of Ranok's old loincloths from the chest to soak up all the water and wring it into the bucket. It doesn't take long to get the room dry again. Once I'm back in the kitchen, I decide to prepare the fire. The wolf is completely waterlogged. I bet he'll enjoy having some warmth once he's back. I take a few pieces of wood and secure them in the hearth. I also retrieve a fire striker, along with a flint and some kindling. Mimicking the wolf, I attempt to get the fire going, but with little success. No matter how hard I try, I cannot figure this out. With the perfect timing to notice my failure, Ranok enters the cabin, looking at my efforts with amusement. He just stands there, resting against the door frame and silently judging me with a smug smile on his muzzle. I keep striking at the flint in growing frustration until I give up, and look to Ranok with mild annoyance. What?
You're only building a fire, not inventing it.
He chuckles, leaving a sizable bag on the table and approaching me. The wolf kneels, embracing me from behind, his paws swooping on both sides.
Here, let me help you.
His cold, wet fur brushes against my back in stark contrast to his warm breath enveloping my neck. I swallow heavily as he takes charge of my palms, warm beans pressing against the back of my hands. It only takes him 2 strikes to get the sparks going, both literally and figuratively, as my heart begins to race in mild excitement. He gives me an amused side-eye, most likely picking up on that slight change as he presses harder against me. His muzzle leans in seductively, almost brushing my cheeks as he blows at the small flickers hiding inside of the kindling. I shiver as his chest expands, pushing slightly against my back, allowing to huff and puff. If I'm a little piggy, then he did blow the roof off my house for sure. The flames rise with each of his breaths, slowly enveloping the wood. We stay this close only for a moment, but it feels like an eternity. And just like that, as if nothing happened, he lets go of me and stands up.
We should dry up before we get our little feast started.
I nod, glad he knows when to stop pushing my buttons, and he's kind enough to spare me the awkwardness. He begins to undress, and I help him strip down to his loincloth, spreading his gi near the hearth so it dries up quicker. For me, getting rid of the water is a trifle, just a towel and a few runs up and down my naked skin. But the wolf, that's another story entirely. He has a hard time drying up his fur. I now see why he hates the rain so much. I decide to help him out, rubbing his body with a towel, soaking up all the moisture from his back which he cannot reach on his own. He seems rather pleased being serviced like this, simply allowing me to do most of the work while he stretches out and tenses his muscles. He's teasing me again. I don't mind. I'm happy to help him, and seeing his tail wag and joy is my own reward. Once he's dry and slightly puffier than usual, I chuckle and look at the hearth. So, what are we having?
Rabbit stew.
He smiles, pointing to a small sack lying in the corner of the room.
Caught it myself doing patrol this morning.
I grimace, realising there's a dead creature in the bag.
What is it? Please don't tell me you don't like rabbit.
He pleads, walking toward the cupboard and opening one of the drawers. No. It's just, if you need to do things to it before it's edible, I better sit this one out in the bedroom. The wolf sneers, retrieving his spare pair of pants.
Are you that squeamish? Oh, don't worry.
He huffs, struggling to put them on.
It's already prepared.
Ugh. He issues another strained exhale. Pulling the leather over still slightly humid fur must be rather unpleasant.
Won't do that in the house anyway. That's what butchers are for.
You mean Volga's side job?
Funny you should ask. He's the one who repaired it. I was quite happy to do it too. You two are obviously getting along.
He lifts up the bag and unloads the contents onto the table as I blush at his comment. There's a slightly bloodied linen bundle which most likely contains the rabbit meat, along with a few celery sticks, potatoes, carrots, a bushel of spinach, 2 garlic cloves and a small purse. I look at the little pouch with curiosity. What's in that?
Lentils.
He responds, seemingly eyeing out the entire assortment.
We go easy on the veg in our stews, but Ruth has told me humans are pretty fixated on their greens.
That we are. I smile, nodding, while the wolf approaches the hearth and pushes up a lever on its left side. This causes a chain to emerge from within the chimney, hanging down with a metal hook on its end. Ranok uses it to fix a sizable cauldron within the fire, while I decide to help prepare our meal. He provides me with a knife and I begin cutting the celery, cubing potatoes and carrots.
But don't cut yourself. Sharpen it this very morning.
He winks at me coyly. I almost do exactly that. Dickhead. I call out as I graze the tip of my thumb. The wolf erupts in laughter as I flap my hand around. I quickly bring the finger up to my lips to kiss it.
Well, note to self. Never entrust Sam with sharp objects.
Ha ha, thanks for your concern. I grumble, still suckling on my thumb.
You didn't cut it.
And how do you know?
Because I'd smell blood, silly.
I narrow my brows in bemusement as I return to my task. The house fills an extremely pleasant aroma as he fries the rabbit pieces inside the pot. Once he cooks them to his satisfaction, he fills it with water and sets to boil.
Gotta wait for the stock to get ready before we dump the veg.
I nod. I must say, I wouldn't know how to even start with any of this. I envy you.
You never cooked?
I wouldn't say never. I can't remember, but definitely I wouldn't know how to make this into a rabbit stew. I point to the ingredients.
Well, we'll make a cook out of you yet. Your egg and toast method was quite inventive.
He winks and I smile. Ranok grabs 2 tankards and fills them up with ale. I want to stop him from getting me one, however his happy expression makes me reconsider. He seems to be looking forward to us unwinding, and despite the ale tasting like liquid nightmare, I decide to humour him. You said you don't eat at home, that you feast together.
Hmm?
How, or better yet, why did you even learn any of this?
Well, we spend a lot of time in the woods on patrols, quite often sent away for a few days, if not weeks.
He reveals, biting his lips in the ale, and my stomach churns at the idea of him leaving me alone for that long. His eyes centre on me, and it's clear he picked up on my distress.
Well, don't worry, you won't be rid of me that easy.
The wolf winks, and I feign annoyance in hope of masking my ever-present blush.
Well, I'm responsible for you. I can't be sent off while I have an active charge.
I cannot hide the relief that descends upon me when hearing this, and I simply take a happy sip of my own drink.
But yeah, when away we have to cook our own meals. This.
He points to the pot.
This is pretty much basic stuff for pups.
My expression turns. Although I retain the blush, it's now more of embarrassment than his teasing. I don't remember what I used to do before. I know I wasn't the most independent of people. As I look at the bubbling cauldron, it's becoming ever clearer that I wouldn't be able to do any of this. Forget the stew, I can't even start the damn fire.
Seriously, don't worry,
he mutters.
My father promised me he'll keep me within the village. But it's all part of the deal, after all.
I nod. Speaking of your father, what did he want?
Well, it was the other way around.
Oh?
Well, I'll tell you once I know something comes out of it. It's a surprise.
He grins at me slyly, and I wonder what he's up to. We sit like this for maybe an hour or so, just idly chatting. Ranok explains to me how his pack was tracking a bear this morning. Not to kill it, but to actually see it. Took a lot of effort, but eventually they managed to spot the beast, which was quite a sight. Apparently feral bears are almost as rare as feral wolves. He wanted to make sure the beast was safe and well. The tribe believes that the creature is the messenger from one of the great spirits, an omen of sorts. Are the great spirits your ancestors?
Well, no, not directly at least.
He chuckles at my naive question.
They are the spirits of the wild, feral-kin ancestors.
Oh, so you mean like spirit animals?
Oh yeah, I guess you could say that.
The wolf nods, clearly amused by my lack of knowledge. Memory loss, remember? I poke at my temple and he laughs it off.
Fine, fine. There are 4 great spirits that our tribe worships. There are others, of course. We only consider those 4 the true guardians of Tiernan.
He takes an idle sip and I do the same.
The Great Bear represents tenacity. Warriors who face overwhelming odds look to him for guidance. The Great Stag is the spirit of cunning. Those who have to rely on outwitting their enemies turn to him for help. The Great Wolf represents loyalty.
I tilt my head in slight confusion. Loyalty, not strength, or something along those lines.
The strength of a wolf lies in his pack. We are familial creatures. To us, the bond between our kin is of utmost importance.
You say that, but both you and Vull made it clear that siblings don't mean much.
Yes, direct blood relations are of little importance. Our true family is the tribe entire.
Ranok explains with quite a serious tone.
Whenever facing turbulent times that seek to tear us apart, we turn to the Great Wolf for aid in strengthening our bonds.
Huh, never thought of it like that.
And finally, there's the Great Tiger,
he says with barely hidden distaste in his voice.
He is the spirit of strength. Those who require it beseech him for his blessing.
I take it you're not a fan.
Call it personal bias. Tigers and I don't mix well.
So I've noticed. I flash my brows in jest and the wolf laughs. I really don't want to get into otherkin politics at the dinner table. I'm sure I had a fair share of uncles ruining meals in the past. I don't need Ranok to join their ranks. But it is incredibly touching to learn that these wolfmen treat animals with reverence. I know that's not exactly the case for humans. It almost fills me with shame. I take a reluctant gulp of ale, look into the bubbling cauldron.
Well, I guess the broth is ready. Let's add the rest in.
He slowly throws the prepared vegetables, along with emptying the entire purse of lentils, into the pot. I look at the bushel of spinach, not entirely sure what to do with it.
In it goes.
He nods towards the pot, and just like that I simply put it in. I watch curiously as he stirs in the contents, letting them bubble and mix.
Well, check the cupboard. There should be a small white phial at the bottom shelf.
I retrieve it for him, opening the lid and taking a sniff. It has an unmistakable dairy smell.
It's cream.
He pours it in, and I just marvel as the brownish stew becomes lighter, almost matching Ranok's coat. Even the green leaves of spinach floating in it remind me of his cloak and eyes. I chuckle as it's almost Ranok in edible form.
Oh, what's so funny?
You're a dish. I wink at him, which clearly catches him off guard. Whether he didn't get the play on words or simply got flustered by my forwardness for a change, I'm quite satisfied with the quip. Eventually he just rolls his eyes in amusement and reaches up for a dried bushel hanging on the wall. I don't know how, but I immediately recognise it as thyme, and a smile stretches across my face as he drizzles the stew with the herb. I grab 2 bowls from the shelf above the hearth and set them up, accompanied by wooden spoons. We sit down again, waiting for the food to get ready. Another hour goes by as we just chat some more about his morning exploits, while the aroma of the stew slowly fills the house. He's very athletically inclined with a clear competitive edge. Apparently sparred with some of his pack members earlier today, sending them to the dirt 4 times before they gave up. He's very proud of his skills in combat and almost feels as if he's boasting to impress me. It's actually kind of cute. Eventually Ranok brings the cauldron to the table and fills my plate. The smell is something absolutely out of this world. I wait patiently for the wolf to set his own portion, and once that's done, I dig in. I pick up a spoonful and blow at it cautiously, trying to cool the stew a bit. When I have a taste, I'm at a loss. The stew is absolutely amazing. It's a medley of flavours I've never tasted before, and could not have imagined them going so well together. Ever since I lost my memory, I experience everything with doubled intensity, as if discovering it anew. There's plenty to rediscover, as this wolf is one mean cook. Ranok's tail begins to pat against the chair as he notices my satisfied expression between each spoonful.
Do you like it?
It's amazing. I gasp almost orgasmically, blushing at my own exaggerated reaction.
Wow.
He turns his gaze away, also getting flustered by the sounds of my pleasure. Seems I accidentally edged him as his entire body tensed up. He pushes legs together to cover his groin, and I get my answer. I no longer think I'm misreading things. This wolf seems to be into me. I don't know what to do about it. I think I'll wait for him to emerge from his shell on his own terms. I don't want to push it and cause him to shut down again. He clears his throat and looks at me with a guilty expression. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. I really do. We managed to have only one more spoonful when knocking on the door comes. I was assured we'd be left alone. He grumbles in annoyance, getting up and opening the door. It's Verissa. The white female rushes past Ranok and looks directly at me. Right, your father just informed us that the human will be at the feast tomorrow. Immediately Ranok's expression sours, contrary to mine, which brightens up. I'll be able to leave the house tomorrow. I'll finally meet the tribe. Well, thanks for ruining my surprise. It was your idea then? She gives him a baffled look. Well, I asked him to consider it. Sam was getting incredibly lonely here. So your solution was to throw him to the wolves? Literally. I chuckle. It's not funny. Not every wolf hangs himself on a technicality. Ranok might have made you his ward, but that's no guarantee of your safety. No one would dare touch him. Not if we maintain our pretense. That's going to be much harder with him out and about. Tano is on his case since the meeting. He's practically obsessed with the human. We can handle Tano. And you're willing to bet Sam's life on it? She asks, and Ranok's ears fall back. He's clearly troubled, and that makes me uncomfortable, but I can't stay here forever. I really need to get out of the house. I'm losing my mind here. You can lose your head if anyone finds out you can understand us. I fall silent, knowing I don't have much argument to counter her. That doesn't change the fact that I cannot simply be imprisoned in here much longer. My sorrowful expression makes it perfectly clear to Ranok. We have to trust Sam. What? I'm as surprised as she is. We don't know when his memories will return. It might take a week or a month. He's not my prisoner. He's my charge. Keeping him locked up isn't right and only fuels paranoia. The only way to calm things down and to allow him some semblance of freedom is to introduce him to the tribe. The sooner the better. The female looks at me with concern and then sighs in annoyance. Well, I'm just incredibly touched that Ranok took our earlier conversation to heart. I hate it when you're right. But this is yet another gamble on top of a series of bets we just made. Well, I'm sure Sam can handle Tano. He's a smart beastie. Besides, as my ward, he'll have me at his side at all times. Fine, but don't come crying when this will spectacularly blow up in your muzzle. Well, that's an easy condition. I'm rarely wrong about people. He shrugs, giving me a sly wink. I blush, overwhelmed by the confidence he has in me. I'm not sure it's completely warranted. I'm slightly concerned by this Tano character. He seems to be putting pretty much all of them on edge, and I'm not certain what to make of it. Before I get to ask, I can see Verissa approach me. Anyway, I came to check your bandages. Oh, okay. I stand up, allowing her better access to my underbelly. Why are they all wet and green? She takes an idle sniff of my dressing. Is that grass? We went for a walk in the rain. A walk? She looks to the grey wolf with a slightly risen brow. Then why is he all covered in your scent? I stumbled and fell, and Ranok... Well, I tried to help him up. Verissa sighs at our pathetic explanation. You are seriously injured. She growls at me. I'm not talking figuratively either. That stab, as well executed as it was, is still serious. You cannot be seen out and about rolling in the grass with a wolf thrice your size. I mean, seriously, Ranok, he's just a dumb kid, but you should know better. The female scolds us in a rather harsh tone. It was just a bit of fun. What if someone saw you? Well, there was no one around. It was pissing rain. Now I need to change those again. On the upside, you might have opened the wound. A little bleeding would help you sell this as something serious and teach you a lesson you desperately need. She pulls out new dressing from her pouch, placing it on the table along with the pinkish tincture. She kneels down and unwraps my bandages, slowly revealing the spot where Vull has stabbed me. This is odd, she mutters in surprise, inspecting the wound. It's already closed.
Well, that's good, right?
The wolf shrugs, taking an idle drink of ale. It's clear that my stabbing is still making him rather uncomfortable. When was the last time you saw her cut this deep closed within 2 days? She asks him, but the male's not even looking in our direction. There is no oozing, nothing. I look down, and indeed all I can see is just a reddish line in my side. It's already scarring.
Guess Vull really knew what he's doing.
I propose through a smile. No, you're healing too fast. It's almost unnatural. She pretty much confirms my suspicions. I knew there was something odd about how well I felt immediately after my fever. Despite this being a positive development, I get a nagging feeling that there's something sinister behind it.
What is you suggesting?
Ranok sighs in annoyance, clearly uncomfortable with our conversation. I'm not suggesting anything, but it seems there's more to this human than meets the eye. She douses my wound with a pinkish solution, which stings a little, but at this point I'm used to it. Once she cleaned the spot, she started dressing it up again with bandages. When she's done, she stands up, taking hold of my shoulders and looking directly into my eyes. You are gravely wounded. You must act it. No one can suspect you're fine. Especially now one can barely even call it an injury. And no one can know you speak our language. She reiterates, and I nod. I had the intention to spice up my wound from the very beginning. She nods back at me knowingly and proceeds to leave. Wait, would you care to have some rabbit stew with us? There's plenty to spare. The female looks back at me with a soft smile, then gazes at Ranok. At least someone around here has manners.
What would be the point in asking? I knew you'd refuse anyway.
It's the thought that matters. She looks back at me with an apologetic gaze, opening the door. I can't stay. I have evening patrol duties. My pack was left leaderless the past few days on your account. I look confused to Ranok.
Well, she's also an alpha, just like me.
Really? There are female alphas? She looks at me with surprise and chuckles, accompanied by Ranok's thundering laughter. What sexist backwater do you come from? Before I manage to respond, she leaves. Hope she didn't take it the wrong way.
Oh, don't worry. So far you seem to be more amusing and annoying to her, which is a good sign. Speaks much about you.
How so?
Well, neither she nor Vull warm up to people easily. I knew there was something special about you.
I try to conceal my blush and we return to our meal. We spend the evening just chatting away, with Ranok indulging heavily in ale and talking of sparring and wrestling. He seems to really enjoy contact sports, which allow him to utilise his burly build. I don't mind his little boasts. They're clearly meant as flattery directed at me. I just can't help myself to cool him down a bit. Well, I bet Vull give you a run for your money on more than one occasion. He almost chokes on his beer and throws me an angry stare.
Well, I bested Vull many times.
He reiterates, and I just stifle a chuckle. Which only means that at least a few times he bested you.
Well, if you're such a wise guy, how about you and me have a spar and see who ends up on top?
The wolf raises his brows challengingly. I can see his tail flicker in excitement. I see what you're doing. It's a cute trap, but I'm not falling for it just yet. You really think that taking down a tiny piglet like me is going to compensate for Vull handing your ass to you?
Oh, you.
He slams his paws onto the table and stands up slowly, his form tense in a playful manner as if you're about to pounce me. I shake my hands, laughing. I'm gravely wounded, remember? I point to my side, winking at the wolf. Ranok issues a subdued, seductive growl, which sends tingling shivers down my spine. Lucky little piggy. He sits down with a mocking expression, taking a long swig at his tankard. I must admit, getting to know him better and being able to tease him back is extremely satisfying. I feel that we began truly bonding. Whatever this is between us, I'm just glad to have him here, even if we're just friends. We return to idle banter, teasing each other from time to time way into the night.
Well, I haven't had so much fun in a long while.
The wolf exhales, emptying his third mug of ale, and I just laugh awkwardly.
All we really did was eat dinner and drink.
Well, what can I say? You're good company. He shrugs, approaching the barrels and refilling his tankard. I try to keep his tempo, but so far only managed 1 pint, struggling with my second.
Besides, if I wanted excitement, I'd be out with my pack. Speaking of, I have to head out early tomorrow,
he states, sitting down. I look up, slightly concerned.
Oh? My father arranged for a little competition.
Ranok winks playfully.
We're tasked with a hunt. There's a big black boar that has wreaked havoc in the forest. Well, it's to be a centerpiece of tomorrow's feast. The pack that gets the kill will have a whole week off duty.
I won't lie, that would be nice. I nod, wetting my lips, the bitter brew starting to grow on me.
Well, I know, right? A whole week with me. Well, I bet you'll get sick of this muzzle within 2 days.
I highly doubt that. I shake my head to a chuckle, while the wolf takes on a more serious tone.
Either way, let's not sell the hide until we snag the beast. Well, I think Tano is cheating.
How so?
We were meant to leave the boar to gorge himself undisturbed, but Tano and his pack were doing a lot of tracking lately.
He stifles a growl.
I think he kept tabs on the beast.
That's quite underhanded, but no matter what will happen, I will cheer for the best wolf. I nod towards him encouragingly.
And who's the best wolf, pray tell?
Why, you, of course. My wolf is the best wolf. I muster a slightly seductive smile, which causes the wolf to laugh it off nervously. In all fairness, I'm terribly excited about tomorrow. I'm also a bit daunted.
You'll do just fine.
He dismisses me with a paw. I'm glad at least one of us is confident. Marissa did spook me a little.
She loves to overcomplicate things. I teased her about it a lot when we were younger.
Oh? I inquire, finally tapping to the bottom of my mug.
I used to joke she was born grey, but turned white to a constant worrying.
That's mean. I chuckle, imagining the female's frustration.
Well, anyway, I'm sure you'll woo everyone, just as you wooed me.
It's hard to woo anyone with your mouth shut. I almost spit out my brew. Wait, when did I woo you? In your dreams? The only one doing wooing here so far is you. The wolf smirks, clearly enjoying that his jab has landed.
Arroo!
He made a cute imitation of a howl. It just made my imagination run wild. Aww. Do it again, but this time for real. I demand, tapping my hands on the table.
Oh, what?
Give us a proper one. Howl, like true wolves do. My request clearly put him on the spot, and he fidgets uncomfortably.
I shouldn't.
Why not?
Well, someone might hear.
So, don't tell me you're not allowed to howl.
Well, of course not.
The male scoffs at me. His expression quickly turns back into a troubled one.
Well, they aren't meaningless sounds. They're messages. You have to have something to howl about.
Oh. I mumble, not sure if I understand him correctly. Are you telling me you have nothing you'd like to howl about?
Well, I've got plenty.
He scoffs again, this time with a determined look, and I decide to push my luck.
Then I'd love to hear you howl.
The wolf hesitates, I'm almost inclined to drop it, not wanting to force him, but a flicker of his tail indicates he actually wants to do it. Please?
Fine. You're such a pup.
He shakes his head and takes a deep inhale. I rest my elbows on the table, supporting my chin in my palms as I watch his torso expand. Ranok tilts his head back with his nose pointing at the ceiling. His muzzle puckers and a melodic sound resonates from deep within his throat. The sentimental feeling washes over me when I hear his voice reverberate against the glass windows. The howl echoes throughout the kitchen in a high-pitched tone, filled with joy and happiness. He's sending a message of comfort and bliss to everyone around him, and I swear I can hear it say, "I'm the luckiest wolf alive." I'm extremely touched. I can feel the hair on the back of my neck rise up in response. I'm just sitting here looking at him starry-eyed. Wow, that was utterly beautiful. I exhale, giving him a round of applause. Seeing he took my breath away, the wolf smiles awkwardly.
Well, it was a pretty good day.
He nods and I raise my mug. I'll drink to that. We clink our tankards and cheer. We continue chatting and drinking for a while longer, both teasing each other to draw another fit of laughter. Eventually we get drowsy enough to head off to bed. If Ranok is to have any chance of the hunt, he needs to be rested. I puff up the pillows as he drops onto the mattress, patting a spot beside him. I'm quite surprised by the gesture, but I smile and oblige. The wolf quickly pulls me into a tight embrace, snuggling deep into his chest. I think he's doing it because he's quite tipsy, but I don't mind. I grow attached to this intimacy. If a drink allows him more freedom of expression, who am I to judge? I drift off in my furry cradle within moments, hoping nothing will disturb my sleep. The dream I have is nothing short of a nightmare. Once again I'm suspended in darkness, my body fading into oblivion. Why is this happening to me? My mind is bombarded by a maddening voice, thousands of whispers speaking as one. I've heard them before. Fail! I struggle at the first attack almost breaking. The choice of the word steals my resolve. I won't fail. I won't give you the satisfaction. All hope. I want to scream in agony. Without a body, I am forced to endure this in silence. Why do you keep torturing me like this? Fate. Again, I feel myself slipping away at the command. Each whisper feels like a seed of madness planted inside my mind. The entity toys with me and I cannot do anything but to surrender myself. I fade, just as told to do so, for any more agony pushes me beyond the breaking point. I wake up with a rattled breath, looking around the room in panic. It's midday and I'm alone with no sign of the wolf, his side of the bed already cool. Ranok has clearly left on his morning hunt, and I feel guilty for not seeing him off. This guilt doesn't last long, however, as I realise why I overslept. I was stuck in the void again. With this realisation, everything comes back to me like a tidal wave. I've been there before, twice in fact, each time bombarded by a maddening voice. I think I was suppressing those dreams, as if subconsciously trying to push them out of existence, but something changed tonight. I was challenged. An entity demanded my submission. All hope fades, the voice said in my refusal. That much I remember. As ominous as it seems, I'm still not quite sure if it isn't all just in my head. However, something about tonight made it feel very much real. I'm not sure if I'm getting used to the sensation of complete abandon or the agony, but I can recollect glimpses of that horrible place. If one can even call it a place, it feels more like a state of being devoid of everything, tethering on the edge of nothingness. Just sheer thought of it fills me with great unease. Losing my memory and being stranded in this strange world is one thing, but hearing voices is another. For a moment I considered if I should actually talk to either Varissa or Ranok about this. But then again, hearing voices would probably be as insane to them as it sounds. It's enough that they view me as strange and a liability. The last thing I want is for them to consider me mad. I take a deep breath and sit up, stretching my hands back to support myself. I need to relax and clear my mind, otherwise I might have another weird episode. As I recline to take a second long inhale, my hand touches something odd on Ranok's pillow. My gaze drifts down, and I can see a single dandelion where his head would have been. I pick up the flower, touching its delicate bud, unable to contain a smile. I almost burst into tears, but managed to rein myself in. With this one gesture, Ranok has banished all the turmoil that occupied my mind. A yellow flower, to contend with the grey skies that hung above my head. Voices and night terrors will have to wait. Today is too important to allow any of my mental issues to spill over. I need to keep myself alert and sharp without any nonsensical distractions. Yet again, the wolf has proven to be the anchor to ground me. I jump off the bed and rush towards the kitchen, wondering if there's any water there for me to wash up. I bring the flower with me, placing it on the table. There I find a small bread roll next to a wooden bowl filled with what was left from our stew. I quickly noticed the flint and fire striker lying next to it, almost as if Ranok was suggesting I heat my food up when I wake up. Again, I feel choked up. No one's ever been this considerate towards me. Damn it, wolf. You make it really hard not to fall for you. I reluctantly gazed towards the hearth, and realized that attempting at the fire would only fuel my frustration. Why ruin such a nice day with my inabilities? Instead, I just sit down and dig in. Even at room temperature, the stew is utterly delicious, and the crusty, freshly baked bun is just pushing the meal over the edge. I sigh with satisfaction, licking the bowl clean. My appetite is slowly increasing, and I take it as a good sign. I approach a cupboard to find fresh water left for me along with a birch twig. Ranok thought of everything. I quickly wash up, wanting to look my best if we were to end the feast. I take great care in cleaning my skin with ash, as I did before. I even washed my hair, as they again began to clump together in unattractive streaks. Once my teeth are cleaned and I feel fresh and ready, I simply sit back down on the table, waiting for the wolf. The time passes by with me having very little to do other than attempting another boring read. I'd rather doze off than do that. I grab the dandelion and return to the bed, resting my head on the pillows and toying idly with the flower. Such a little thing, a weed as he called it, yet it steeled my resolve against the shadows. I haven't felt this calm since I woke up in this room for the first time. I almost feel as if nothing could break me now. I'd rather not press my luck with a protracted solitude. Thankfully it doesn't take too long before the door opens and my wolf enters the cabin. I rush to the kitchen to greet him. So, how did it go? Who got the ball? I ask with a wide smile on my face.
Well, we almost had it, but Vol came out of fucking nowhere.
The wolf huffs in annoyance, plopping onto a chair. I bring him a tankard filled with ale, knowing full well how he likes to unwind with it. Oh, sorry. But hey, at least it wasn't Tano, eh?
Well, I think even Tano getting the kill would have been better. Less show-offy.
What did Vol do? I scoff in amusement.
Crazy bastard wrestled the beast bare paw, and suddenly blood and guts flew everywhere.
Ranok continues his rant, taking an idle sip while I sit down next to him.
Both packs stood there almost certain the ball gutted him, but it was the other way around. They finished him off with a dagger. The very same he used on you.
He sneers, clearly conveying it was almost a personal insult to him. I guess if I were to take on a boar, a dagger would not be my weapon of choice. In all fairness, Vol doesn't seem like he needs a weapon at all. An image of him eviscerating a huge boar with that knife makes me cringe a little, and I rub my dressing. I guess he really was being gentle with me.
Well, at least you had a better day. First time I didn't catch you crying.
Well, I had a little help. I sway the dandelion in my hand.
How did that get in here?
He feigns surprise, but his tail swings betray him. I guess we'll never know. I wink at him, placing the flower down. The wolf blushes, looking to the side and taking a nervous gulp of his drink. I always want to laugh at how accustomed he is with us playing this game. I guess he just thought he'd always be the solo player. Ranok takes another long swig and puts the tankard back on the table. It's almost as if he was looking for courage at the bottom of his mug.
Right, we better head out. The feast will start soon. Just stick to me and avoid others as much as possible.
I nod and we get ready to depart when a sudden thought occurs to me. I'm almost naked. I really don't feel comfortable going out in just my loincloth. I mutter, looking around for anything I could put on.
Well, don't wrap yourself in bedding. That makes you look like a savage.
I grimace. Where I come from, walking around in your underwear is definitely inappropriate.
Yeah, just put that on. It'll cover you nicely.
He passes me one of his spare cloaks. I take a discreet sniff, feeling his scent all over it. It's going to be quite a comfort at the feast, but not really what I had in mind. I put it on, closing the clip on my right side, and look down at myself with an immediate frown. I look like a fucking hobbit. I mutter, twinkling my toes.
Oh, what?
I just wave him away, not keen to elaborate. I really need to get some clothes. I'm showing too much skin. I looked at him with a cheeky smile, not really meaning to imply anything, rather forcing to do something about my predicament. Or is this how you like your wards? The wolf throws me a surprised gaze, almost choking at the remark.
Oh, don't be absurd.
He protests in panic.
I'll try to figure something out tomorrow, but there's no time for that today.
Well, I'll hold you to it. I pick up the dandelion and put it in the pin of my cloak.
Well, what are you doing?
I'm taking it with me. It's a good charm. He seems rather troubled by the idea. I mean, not every day a random flower appears out of nowhere on a pillow next to me. I open the door, let him know this is non-negotiable. Stepping out the front is really an experience in its own right. Not only I no longer feel like a dirty secret, but the porch that greets me is a pleasant surprise. I gaze to the right and find the chair with a small table beside it. Immediately I imagine how we could spend our future evenings here, simply unwinding. With days getting warmer, having a drink outside and watching the moon rise while listening to the chirping of crickets sounds almost dreamy. Especially with how secluded and sheltered this location seems to be. I almost half expected there'd be other houses nearby, but it turns out Ranok's cottage is literally on the outskirts of the village. I must say, you do like your privacy. I look to the wolf as he steps outside.
Who doesn't?
He takes the lead and walks down the steps, extending his paw in a gentlemanly fashion.
Here, Tiny, let me help you.
I can manage, I mutter, playfully refusing to take his paw. I know his tricks. Immediately my feet wavers and I stumble, falling into the wolf's arms. My face is buried inside his chest fluff as I gaze up awkwardly at his laughing muzzle.
Well, I built this place, remember? The step is off level. I was meant to fix it, but never really had the time.
He smirks coyly, and I think I just played right into his trap. I shake my head teasingly and push myself away. As I take a few steps, I look around in slight confusion. Odd. This place is quite secluded, for I could swear I saw the light outside the window and heard talk and laughter. I stop and look back at him with a determined expression. It was the very first night when you left me alone.
Oh yeah, we have sentries posted at the edge of the village.
He points to a small clearing in the distance.
They sometimes camp not far from here.
How did you sneak me past them?
We'll relieve them from duty. Can't question an alpha. Especially Vull.
Haha, yeah. Either way, it's a lovely spot. No wonder you built your house here.
It is pretty alright. But in all fairness, I have chosen it for a different reason.
Oh? I smile as we walk arm in arm.
Well, it used to be a spot where I had picnics with my mother. Last time I saw her was right here.
He points to his house, and I feel slightly saddened by the revelation.
This place always made me feel safe, you know?
Yeah. I smile awkwardly, knowing full well what he means. Safe haven is something everyone needs, no matter what form it takes. Knowing how truly dear this home is to him, I feel even safer in it than ever before. As comforting as that sentiment is, a troubling thought occurs to me. He talks about his mother in the past tense. What happened to her? I ask reluctantly.
Oh, I don't know.
The wolf shrugs, trying to sound indifferent, but a slight slump in his posture shows defeat.
She is from another tribe. We meet, we mate, and that's it. The firstborn pups always stay with their fathers.
What about mothers?
They get to keep secondary litters.
But kids need mothers, don't they? He stops, taking a deep breath and not regarding me.
The birth mother stays only until the pup is weaned, then the tribe's den mother takes over. Either way, I was a lucky one. My mother remained a little while longer than appropriate.
He mutters in a mix of resignation and mild frustration. It's clear he doesn't want to talk about this, but I have to know one more thing. When was the last time you saw her?
Oh, it was maybe 5 or 6. Honestly, I can barely remember her.
I can hear a clear hint of longing in his voice, and it makes my heart sink. Their way of life is truly horrifying. It's not just only my bias. Ranok's hurt is plain to see, but I decide to drop the issue. No point in opening old wounds I cannot heal. I mean, she sounds wonderful. I bet she'd be proud of the wolf you become. He throws me a shocked gaze and then smiles softly. For whatever reason, he places great stock in my comment, and despite how heavy the conversation got, his mood lifts immediately, cemented by his wagging tail.
Oh yeah, I certainly hope so.
I smile back, my admiration for him growing with each day further than I expected possible. Despite how much hardship he had to go through, Ranok turned out an upstanding, compassionate being. In fairness, any parent could be proud of calling their son. We walk in silence for a while, slowly entering the village proper. As we're getting closer to other wolves, I decide to remain quiet and instead just take in the sights. The houses look rather simple. I wouldn't call them primitive, but they aren't elaborate either. I guess they serve their purpose. It does feel as if I went back in time. However, despite it all, the old-timey aesthetic is actually heartwarming. On the whole, the village does look quite wholesome. Ranok! A brown, cheery wolf calls out from his doorway, stepping onto the path.
Vither!
So this is the other kin you saved during your big night? My, what a find! The male comes closer, but Ranok's laid-back attitude allows me to remain calm, despite the stranger being thrice my size. Let me have a look at you. His paw grabs my chin crudely, and he rotates my head in both directions, inspecting livestock. Well, well, they are quite something, aren't they? A bit on the small side, though. The wolf snorts, causing Ranok to smile awkwardly.
Yeah.
Considering the legend, you'd expect them to be somewhat more intimidating. This one is rather disarming. I ignore the jabs. I got used to them by now. Kalen is my second name at this point. As he continues to inspect me, I myself decide to have a closer look at him. He's very well built, although he has a bit of a muscle gut. I can see a scar on the right side of his abdomen. It's clearly an old stab wound, a mirror image of my very own. I wonder if mine will scar like that. It looks kind of hot. Eventually sates his curiosity and turns back to face Ranok. By the way, I'm glad to know you can stand up for yourself.
Hmm?
You sent my little boy into the dirt like the silly pup he is. About time that fool learned his place. I almost throw a confused gaze to Ranok, managed to rein myself in. Remember, you don't understand them, Sam.
Well, I didn't mean to. We were just sparring.
Ranok winces uncomfortably. The bubbly male elbows him teasingly. Don't be coy with me. I'm sure you enjoy that little payback for the way he roughed you up.
Well, it wasn't like that.
Ranok continues his half-hearted protest, but the brown male pays him no mind. Ambush out for their own den? Disgraceful. Wait, is he the father of one of the guards? Did Ranok rough him up? Had he not been still licking his bruises, I'd give him a few of my own making to oil up his gears.
They're only following orders.
I discreetly look to Ranok. Though he's clearly uncomfortable at the insinuation, I can see his tail give idle flicks of content. Perhaps he was after payback, even if subconsciously. A wise wolf has a mind of his own. Ranok often acts before thinking. Hot-headed chief is one thing, but being a fool who blindly follows him off a cliff is another. Well, I have to agree.
Well, I won't comment on that.
Ranok mutters nervously as the other wolf erupts in laughter, patting him hard on the back. That's what I like about you, boy. You never speak ill of your old man, even at times he deserves it. That's a true wolf. I like that mousy little gnat of mine. I swear he's whining like a bitch in heat the whole day.
It sounds like I might have overdone it a little.
Considering how territorial he gets around me and that my life was put on the line. Yeah, he might have. I struggle to contain a blush. Nonsense, let it be a lesson learned. Never disrespect your alpha. He's the one in charge of your life. If you cannot trust him with it, you're either a fool or in the wrong pack. Vither huffs as he makes his point.
Well, I'd never dismissed Rhea from my pack. He's a good fit.
Which makes him a fool. And don't worry, I'll start a little talking to with your old man as well, to put him straight. I blink. Make it a scene like that? Unbecoming. You deserve better.
Vither?
No, he needed to hear it, and deep down he already knew it. You ought to be his heir, Ranok, an heir. The brown wolf speaks sternly, reiterating the sentence so the meaning can truly sink in. How can you expect us to entrust the future of our people into your paws when he himself does not trust your judgment? He won't admit it to your muzzle, but he regretted that little spectacle. Ranok's saddened expression turns into a slight smile, full of gratitude. I guess Vither is almost like a secondary father figure to him, one that always fights his corner. It's quite touching. It's nice to know the chief is less rigid than he appears to be. Knowing that he allows someone to call him out on mistakes changes my perspective on the old male. Anyway, enough of that. Vither waves his paw. I heard about the hunt, lad. Lost a barrel of ale because of you.
The wolf chuckles and Ranok grimaces. Well, I told you not to take that wager.
At least Ray didn't win either. Last thing my pup needs is a barrel of ale to drown his beaten ass in.
He lets out another bout of laughter.
But damn that mad wolf, with just a dagger? Clear maniac. It reminds me of me in my youth.
I try not to smile, clear in agreement about the epithets bestowed on Vul. Keeping my dumbfounded facade gets harder the more personal the conversation gets, so I decide to divert my attention from it. I see let them talk about the hunts and wars. I distract myself with a display outside of Vither's house. He has a small store with different pastries lying about on metal trays. Some are speckled with cream, some with fruit. The strawberry tart looks extremely delicious.
Ha! Human pup has a sweet tooth. Reminds me of someone I know.
The wolf winks to Ranok and approaches me. He picks one of the trays and pushes it towards my face.
Here!
I look up to him with slight confusion. I'm not sure what to do. Ranok was quite adamant I should avoid other wolves.
Take whichever you like. I've been baking them with you in mind.
He doesn't understand. My wolf tries to aid me and I look back to him with worry.
I know. Reckons he's not a dumb beast either, eh?
The male ruffles my hair, nodding towards the tray, and I simply smile in gratitude. My gluttony takes the best of me. I cannot resist such wonderful baked goods. I pick up the tart which was seducing me with its strawberry delight and bite in.
How much do I owe you? Ranok, do not offend me, boy. It's on the house. Been a long time since I got to bake anything.
My face lights up with the delicious jam melting in my mouth.
Seeing the poor sod smile is payment enough. I hope he enjoyed the bread.
Oh, yes, he seemed very much pleased by it. I looked at them with slight surprise. So this is where Ranok got it from.
Well, it's an old Tegerii recipe. It was nice to dust it off again. Right, you better be off. Your father detests tardiness. When in sour mood, Varrock makes for a poor drinking companion.
He laughs bombastically, and I cannot help but smile.
I just wanted a quick look at that little freak, before he'll get swarmed by the onlookers at the feast. I'll join later, once I close down the shop.
Oh, thank you. Ranok nods and waves at me to join his side as we walk towards the centre of the village. Once the other wolf is out of sight, I move slightly closer to him. He seemed nice. I mumble idly, enjoying my treat. He is, but don't let that fool you. Vither is my father's childhood friend. He's been nothing but kind to me ever since I was a pup, but by no means he's indicative of the tribe's mood. I nod. I'll stay on my guard. Good, I suspect the rest of today's interactions won't be as pleasant. Ranok, I'm really stressed enough as it is. Sorry, don't mind me. So far, you're doing great. He winks at me reassuringly, but I'm completely lost in my dessert. Considering we're going to a feast, it's a bit odd to start with sweets, but by the moon is this tart worth it. The spring strawberries are actually quite sour, and they clash perfectly with the sweet confiture beneath them. It's so good. I exhale quietly between each bite. Well, I'm glad you like it. I had a hunch you would. Well, pastries aren't our kind of treats. They're typical for a Tageron, though. Or more specifically, their upper classes. I roll my eyes, sighing heavily. Again, he implies I'm some long-lost tiger nobility. How would that even work? Luckily for us, Vither spent several years of his life as an envoy in Strandbard. He is quite versed in Tegerii ways. It explained why he was friendly and courteous, both traits seemingly lost on the Wolven's tribes. Who knows, he might help us get some of your memories back. I doubt it, but I'm not going to dim Ranok's hope. I mean, who knows, maybe he will help. If I get to eat more of his pastries, we all win regardless of the end result. As we enter the clearing around which the village is centred, I immediately spot a large white stone standing upright. It reflects the light of the sunset, seemingly glowing on its own accord. I stop in my tracks, looking at Ranok with a risen brow, and the wolf smiles back in understanding. Well, it's our tribe's men here. It was erected by the very first wolves who settled here thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago? It almost sounds ridiculous, as to my reckoning sapient wolves aren't even a week-old state of affairs.
I cannot dwell on that for long, as my attention is immediately drawn to a small walled-up depression which contains what looks like 2 prison cells. They are carved into the side of an incline which leads to the upper side of the settlement.
Those are the stockades.
I nod, finishing the tart. Now that I realise what my alternative accommodations would have looked like, being cooped up in the cottage doesn't seem all that bad. I'd rather stay where I'm currently held, thank you very much.
Oh, don't worry. I'll never let them lock you up like some sort of criminal.
Yeah, that I can believe. However, there being 2 cells, it would be incredibly hard for him to do anything, if he was to end up in the other one. Incarceration seems to be a form of spectacle for this community, prison in plain view and above a central stage to issue judgment and punishment from. A fitting focal point for this harsh, militarised society, entertainment with the masses and a warning to those who would even ever consider stepping out of line. It really makes the wholesome image of this village turn on its head. My stomach churns a little. I wonder if it's the tart or the dread I feel when looking at the stockades.
Oh, don't pay it any mind.
Ranok pulls me in closer, almost as if trying to reassure me. Likely he picked up on my sudden mood shift. Yet the situation I find it endearing. However, it keeps reminding me that he simply is a walking lie detector. His animalistic abilities to read me like an open book entice me as much as they freak me out. However, I'm quickly distracted by the most unexpected of sights. Wait, is that full? I almost gasp when I notice the familiar black wolf behind a counter of what looks like the village's meat shop.
Yep, that's his butchery, all right.
We approach the building slowly, drawing the attention of our friend.
Piglet?
The male nods towards me while giving Ranok a challenging snicker.
What?
Almost begs the question which one is taking which for a walk.
He snorts and I cannot help but chuckle.
Ha ha, very funny.
It is to me.
Volgar winks at me and reaches up for a large joint suspended from a hook.
You're not coming?
I have to finish here first.
The male mutters as he places what I assume is a cow's hind leg on the counter. I shudder slightly as the wolf chops heavily at it, splitting it with his massive cleaver and smiling tuttily at my squeamish reaction.
I'll join you there in a bit. After all, I've got to make sure you won't choke on my boar.
In the corner of my eye, I can see a wolf warrior stop in his tracks, standing some distance from us and staring at me intently. He seems completely enthralled by my appearance. It feels as if he's undressing me with his gaze. Not that there's much to take off, which makes me extremely self-aware of my near nakedness.
Well, lucky Dalron isn't here. That would have easily descended into a shit show.
Well, he hasn't returned yet?
Ranok's voice betrays a hint of concern.
Nope.
Vol sighs uncomfortably.
Oh, neither Ragara, but I'd rather not bring it up to the table if I were you.
He slams his cleaver at the meat again, easily cutting off another slab and causing my heart to skip a beat.
Your father's already pretty testy on account of that walking pork chop.
The wolf points at me with the bloody blade, and I can't help but gulp loudly. I turn my face away, noticing the stranger still standing there. His penetrating stare continues to cause me discomfort, and I pull my cloak tighter to shield as much of my skin from view as possible. This finally draws Wolf's attention. He immediately darts his gaze from me to the wolf behind us.
What are you looking at?
Nothing, just lost my thoughts. The warrior blurts out, thrown off as he's called out so blatantly.
I hit the bricks before you lose your teeth as well.
The black male growls nastily, his fangs on full display. This causes the intruder to scramble in panic, rushing off into the distance as if chased by a wild beast.
Oh. He'll have enough gawking at the feast, he doesn't need any now. Although he might need to steel his resolve a little.
Once again, Vol points at me with his cleaver.
Especially with Tano around.
His red irises centre on me, as if piercing right through my flesh, and I feel naked once again.
Well, it is what it is.
Ranok steps in and pushes the cleaver away from my face.
I'm sure by the end of the night we'll have something to laugh or curse about.
Humph.
He slams his cleaver into the meat, causing another sickening squelch, followed by the cracking of the bone.
We prey on weakness, and this one practically smells of fear.
And just like that, my heart rate spikes, causing Ranok's ears to twitch.
You know, you always never fail to freak him out. That's very helpful.
Ranok subdues a slight growl of annoyance.
Especially now.
Full sighs, rolling his eyes.
I freak him out. This little piggy nearly pissed himself just because of an onlooker. If he cannot handle a little teasing, how will?
He'll manage. All he needs is a little encouragement. Is that too much to ask?
The grey wolf states sternly, giving him an aggravated look. Bull takes a deep breath and looks back at me with a softer expression. It almost looks as if you're about to apologise, but instead he simply sighs.
But you're on your own head.
He waves us away, and we're about to leave when he gives me one of his kinder gazes.
Just don't get killed, Piglet. If I haven't got to do it, at least don't give the pleasure to some second-rate wolves.
And he ruined it, as he always does. I just roll my eyes and allow Ranok to lead me away.
Well, I guess that's as good as you'll get from him. Oh, don't mind him. You'll do great.
Ranok reassures me, most likely acting on my shifting moods. I'm not aided by the fact there are many hostile eyes focusing on me the deeper into the village we get.
Relax. The feasting grounds are just on the other side, near the forest's edge.
He smiles as we walk through the square and follow a path between the houses towards the woods. Eventually we arrive at an opening with a massive bonfire at its centre, surrounded by tables and benches on three sides. I'm taken aback by how amazing the feasting grounds look, with cloth screens protecting the sides and a large pavilion erected over the central table. There are dozens upon dozens of wolves walking about their business, some already sitting and making merry, while others stop in their tracks to look at us with disbelief in their eyes. I can see protective mothers pulling their pups closer in fear, as if I were a wild animal. There's a clear mixture of fascination and concern in the eyes of those we pass by. This is so surreal. I'm deep inside of a wolf den, yet the wolves seem more likely to huddle to the walls than attack me. I can hear some of the warriors growl softly as we pass them, causing Ranok's arm to wrap around me and pull me closer to his side. Finally we arrive near the central table, with the gathered wolves looking at us expectantly. I can see the chief in the distance, talking with one of the older males. Though he's deep in the conversation, his eyes are locked on me.
Not him.
Ranok draws my attention to a slender white wolf with painted blue patterns on his arms and cheek.
Remember what we said. Tano is very perceptive.
Under no circumstance can he learn that you understand our language. I simply nod. With a gentle nudge, I follow Ranok towards the table, where we are immediately intercepted by the white male. He's eyeing me out intensely, causing slight discomfort. So, this is the infamous human. For someone supposedly with one leg in the great beyond, he seems quite fine to me.
Rissa took good care of him.
Indeed. He narrows his eyes. A testament to her skill, I'm sure. Are you implying something? I nearly jump up as the female comes up from behind, placing her paw on my shoulder. She moves almost without making a sound. Oh, not at all, but considering your experience, I think it best to have the whelp checked up by one of the elders. Wouldn't you agree, Chief?
I've seen him bleed, that's proof enough.
The older male waves his paw at the question. I almost sigh in relief. Any sort of examination would put an end to our charade.
Now, let's get this damn thing started. I've been running the whole day on a dry muzzle.
The chief looks to one of the servants fill up his horn and raise all attendants as some form of rabbit men. There's 6 of them. They're quite small, pretty much my size, look rather disarming and cute. They don't wait on anyone per se, but simply ensure the tables are stocked up on food and drink. The only exception, of course, is the chief, who gets everything delivered to his paws. Guess they're the sylvan folk I've been reading so much about. There's one rabbit in particular, a scrawny brown little thing with a rather annoyed expression, eyeing me out with a similar intensity as Tano does. Doesn't he hide he has some kind of grudge against me, and I bet my bottom dollar it's tryst. Ranok notices my discomfort and takes as a cue to lead me towards the table, intent on taking the seats next to his father's chair. Tano sways his finger, preventing me from following the grey male. I don't think it's a good idea to have an outsider seated so close to the chief. I'm sure he'll be fine here. The white wolf presents a spot on the bench next to him. I look to Ranok with worry.
He's my charge. He sits with me.
He doesn't look nor smell like your charge. Besides, he could be dangerous.
He's wounded.
Come to think of it, he doesn't look that either. This little exchange draws the chief's attention. I have to do something. I sigh, realizing it's best if I simply follow the cues given and sit where I'm told to end the discussion. It's not much of a problem, as the seat is directly opposite Ranok, the male visibly unsettled by my choice and our effective separation. Well, I'll move then. He stands up, intent on staying by my side. So much for trusting me.
What are you talking about? You'll sit on my right, as is your place.
The chief says sternly, finally plopping down in his chair and forcing Ranok to do the same. The funny bunny approaches the table, taking point slightly behind the chief and continues to give me off-putting looks.
Tano can handle the human.
It will be my honour.
But...
I widen my eyes at Ranok to signal he's making a scene, when I suddenly feel Tano's paw slide across my underbelly towards the dressing. I instinctively slap it away and we both lock startled gazes, surprised I would dare to hit him. Feisty for someone so small. He's the one to talk. He's the smallest wolf I've seen so far, not counting pups. He laughed it off to my relief. I tried to feign a painful grunt.
Give your paws to yourself.
Ranok issues a muffled growl. Why so protective? Tano smirks, and I struggle to contain an annoyed sigh at Ranok's lack of discretion. Even Trist is tracing his eyes between me and the grey wolf with rather curious gaze. I was only trying to check. Well, don't. Luckily, Verissa joins in, looking angry at the white wolf from the other side of the table. Your dirty paws can make the wound infected. And he says I'm the inexperienced healer. She addresses some other wolves, and I can hear a spurt of laughter. Very well. Tano pats my head, ruffling my hair in a playful manner. No hard feelings, eh? Another soft growl escapes Ranok's throat, and again I widen my eyes at him. What are you doing?
What has gotten into you?
Now even his father noticed how agitated the wolf is, but thankfully that forces Ranok to let it go. Geez, what was this pep talk about? Talking that I need to keep my wits about me. He seems far more inept at this game than I am. I look around the table, seeing plenty of roasted game, forest fruit, vegetable tarts and pies. It's more of a feast than a dinner. I must admit I look forward to eating. Everything smells so good. Allow me. To my surprise, Tano picks up my wooden plate and nods towards the dishes in front of me, waiting for me to indicate what I wanted. Reluctantly, I just point to what I assume is roasted chicken and some vegetables. As Tano serves me, I look around, seeing that pretty much everyone helps themselves or anything they like, so this courteous gesture comes out of nowhere. Eventually, Tano places the plate in front of me and I smile with gratitude. I dig in, not keen on using my fingers, but it seems cutlery here is only used to carve the meats or place them on plates. The chicken is succulent and very aromatic, but the meat is oddly sweet. It definitely has a gamey taste to it. Again, quite a remarkable recovery for the state you were supposedly in. The white male looks at me expectantly and I flinch, stopping myself at the very last second from responding.
We can all agree it's for the best. The sooner he's healed, the sooner he'll be gone.
The chief says in a dismissive manner, not even looking at me. However, Trist, who stands behind them, keeps giving me an evil eye. Fuck, this is awkward. I choose slowly, diverting my gaze to Ranok. He keeps staring at me with clear longing as if I'm the only person there. I try to kick him, but the table is too wide and I end up banging one of the supports. Everyone looks at me as the table bounces, and I can see a satisfied smirk from the brown rabbit. I sink my face into my palms, utterly embarrassed. Fuck.
So, human.
I blinks the chief, breaks the awkward silence. Why is he addressing me? I suppose they shouldn't be speaking their language.
Are you one of the Vanna?
Everyone regards him with surprise if he did something very strange. Even the rabbit looks rather spooked. The chief glares at me expectantly, but I don't respond.
I'm speaking to you.
He insists. What am I supposed to do?
Well, I don't think he understands that language.
What language?
Absurd. You don't mean to tell me he's come here all the way from Freyfall? Is that where you're from, human?
Again, everyone looks at the chief with shock. What's going on?
Freyfall?
He reiterates, but again I just blink, the confusion of the situation aiding me in keeping my mask of ignorance. Eventually the chief sighs in annoyance and waves his paw at me in dismissal.
Well, I never knew you spoke both those dialects.
Only a little bit.
Wait, did the chief slip from one language to another without me even realizing? How is that possible?
I don't understand anything. Is he stunted?
No, he seems quite lucid.
So what are you suggesting, that he's not from Avalon?
I feel the white wolf turn towards me, drilling his eyes into my face. This is getting quite interesting.
Avalon, this continent.
The chief pats the table as if to illustrate his meaning.
Are you from here?
Truthfully, even I wanted to answer that question, I have no idea what he's talking about. That emptiness in my mind is finally useful for once, giving my reactions more credence. Oh, looks like the human is much more than he seems. Extremely young and frail for someone who's crossed the sea. The chief looks at the white wolf and then gazes at me, as if he were truly measuring me for the first time.
Well, if he comes from Euron, he'd have to depart at least a year ago to even get here.
You're right, Chief. That's not an easy journey, even if he had plenty of coin to spare. There's more to his story, that's for sure. The boy is craftier than he looks. Ranok narrows his eyes in clear annoyance, poking up his lip to show tips of his fangs.
Please, control yourself. I see your point.
The chief nods.
Curious how he landed on our doorstep without getting noticed by our sentries.
Oh, wouldn't it make more sense to keep him under lock? Stockades, perhaps? Why risk Ranok's life? We can have the human repay our hospitality another way. I flinch at the suggestion of being locked up, but Ranok quickly puts a stop to it through a soft growl.
Your concern is touching, but I'm sure I can handle a puny human.
He's been way too obvious about any of this. I can see Trist has picked up on it. He gives me telling gazes, trailing his eyes from Ranok to me every time the grey wolf reacts out of proportion. If he were just that. He might be quiet, but I can see intelligence behind those eyes. He's looking as if he understands what we're saying. Fuck. Guess I was wrong about me pulling this off.
You're being paranoid, as always.
Or perhaps the three of you know more than you led us to believe. Are you suggesting any of us would risk the safety of our people? I don't know. I'd like to believe you wouldn't. And yet here we are. You brought a suspicious human into our village, and... I jump up as I hear Vull slam his paw on the table. I didn't even notice when he arrived.
If you don't hold your tongue, you'll be laughing soup with it for the rest of your life.
Is that supposed to be a threat?
It's a promise.
The black male growls nastily. Given that familiar murderous stare, I'm surprised how defiant Tano remains. He must have known Vull for years. I'll never edge him on like this. It's almost suicidal.
I'll stop your bickering. The both of you. If you're so worried this naked monkey can understand us, then at the very least don't let it hear a squabble.
The chief barks out in annoyance. For a moment all conversation ceases. Vull huffs heavily and moves to the edge of the table. I nervously pick at the chicken, pulling the sinew apart and nibbling on it. This has gotten uncomfortable quite fast. In the corner of my eye I notice Vither approaching with a rather wide smile. He winks at me as he passes the table and sits next to the chief.
You're late, as usual. Could show your chief a bit more respect.
The old male grumbles.
And why'd you reek of yeast and preserves?
I did a bit of baking. Vither looks in my direction with a wide smile.
You and that flowery pastime of yours.
Who pissed in your muck?
It's just those two.
The chief waves his paw between Tano and Vull.
Constantly at it like pups.
Never a dull moment with them, eh? How about we get some ale and forget the puffs for a change?
First good idea I've heard the whole damn day. I don't mind the monkey over there.
Ooh, the human. I've already seen him.
Seems everyone fucking seen him but me. Who else was in on the conspiracy?
Oh, no, don't be paranoid. You spend too much time around Tano. I'm sitting right here. Am I talking to you, Snowball? No? Then let the grown wolf speak. I mean, I've seen him today. I caught Ranok on his way here. He gave me a first poor look at his new pet. The boy's a charming little fella. I really wish Trish stopped looking at me with such intensity. It's hard to avoid noticing it when he's directly in my field of vision.
Yes, well, don't expect a conversation out of him. He's not much of a talker. Either plays dumb or is dumb. I'm not sure which is worse.
He's simply scared, I bet. Just let him be. Once he feels safe, I'm sure he'll open up and we'll be able to make sense of this whole debacle.
With Vitha's arrival, initial stiffness leaves the table, and the wolves begin more casual conversation, with the topics diverting to patrol duties, hunts, and territorial disputes, none of which makes much sense to me. Tano keeps serving me as if I'm an honoured guest, bringing me all variety of different pastries and meats. Apparently the chicken I had was actually a honey-roasted pheasant, and it really grew on me. This dinner is dragging on, and I realise it will most likely last until midnight. I need to pace myself, I'm slowly getting full while the food keeps on coming. I take a deep breath and turn around to look towards the grounds. It became dark fast. The fire and the candelabras give off a warm hue, making this place feel incredibly cosy. More and more tribe wolves arrived, with the tables now bustling with activity. There's got to be at least 100 of them. I can see that females with pups are seated at the far edge, away from the adult wolves. The amount of talk of how Kalen I am, I'm glad to be sitting at the grown-ups table. The large boar bull killed is roasting on a spit above the bonfire, and the smell of it is quite something. The size of that thing also sends a shiver down my spine. I had no idea boars could get this large. It's almost as big as a cow. Quite understandably, every now and then a wolf stops and regards the roast, raising their mug in the air and shouting out, "Volga!" Each time without fail nor hesitation, all the gathered respond with a thunderous cheer, immediately followed by a long-drawn howl. I feel touched by how celebratory they seem, and give the black male a discreet gaze of admiration. I silently bop my cup in the air to let him know I too am impressed and wish to congratulate him. Bull tries to scoff me off, but his tail gives him away with a happy flicker. I must admit, I fairly enjoyed Tano's diligence in keeping my plate stocked. It's quite careful I have a good selection of dishes, only giving me second servings of food so he clearly sees me enjoy. I can't tell if he tries to make up for the spat or being a generally hospitable person. I quickly notice it's neither. He's only doing this to get on Ranok's nerves, and the grey wolf plays right into it. Every time Tano touches me or idly embraces me, he draws an angered reaction from the other male. I just want to slap Ranok across his ears. Why is he allowing himself to be led on like that? If anyone should be seething, it's me. Tano's polite to a flaw. I have no other choice but to allow him to do whatever he likes with me, with a wide smile on my face. Another thing that spoils my meal is the rabbit. He's making this personal. As much as I can understand his anger at losing his job, he's one distraction too many. At first, there are many tribesfolk who approach me to have a look or to touch me, with Tano basically acting like a carnival carny. "Step right up, see the naked monkey." I'm being touched and petted in the most awkward way, and I feel like a freak show. I keep my displeasure bottled up, but Ranok is not as subtle. He alternates between giving me the same disapproving looks as his former attendant, or trying to get back at me by being handsy with passing females. Seriously, does he really think I enjoy this? Unwittingly, he simply pushes me right into Tano's clutches. I need to have at least one ally at this table. I envy the chief, he gets to enjoy his company. Vitha entertains him with the latest tribal gossip, interchanged with glories of past combats. Luckily, as the evening turns into night, most of the wolves lose interest in me due to my complete silence. I think the fact that I did not understand their tribal politics and lifestyle reinforced my facade of ignorance. Eventually I start to feel a bit flushed, only now realising that Tano made perfectly sure I never ran dry on wine. He refilled my cups with almost religious zeal, and it's the only thing that slipped my mind out the entire meal. I was too focused on slipping up and too stressed by the number of eyes on me that I simply guzzled from the cup with complete abandon. Tunnel vision me. Now I'm tipsy. Fuck. I should have known better. The only comfort I have is seeing that pretty much everyone else around me is getting drunk as well. Everyone apart from Tano, who I only now I notice is sipping on water. I didn't realise it was an option, since all I can see around are flagons of wine. He notices that I've noticed and gives me a sly wink. Motherfucker.
So, human. He draws my attention, grabbing a bottle of wine. How do you find our wolven hospitality?
Hostility, you mean? Consider every guest so far called a bad case of being stabbed to death.
Present party nearly included. And my point exactly. It's a rare honour indeed for another kin to share a meal with the tribe. Let alone live to tell the tale. Tano smokes knowingly at me and I swallow nervously.
He's not out of the woods yet, is he?
Vither jests, but the joke didn't quite land for me. Quite. The white wolf nods and brings the bottle closer, intent on refilling my cup. I try to shield it with my hand, but accidentally trip it over, causing what little wine was left to slush across the table towards Tano.
You clot!
The wolf yelps as some of it dribbles onto his leg. He tries to jump back to avoid the rest of the spillage, but a sudden jolt tilts the entire bench backwards and sends us all flying to the ground. The village erupts in laughter at the scene, Chief spitting out some of his drink in amusement. Seeing both Volgar and Varissa splayed out in the dirt causes me to join in.
What the fuck are you doing, Tano?
Have you any idea how it is to get wine stains out of white fur? The white wolf stands up, rubbing against a now pink stain on his left thigh. Yes, I have. The female growls, standing up, and I can see she's practically drenched in wine, which she spilled on herself during our flight. I explode laughing, unable to contain myself, huddling in the dirt. I cover my mouth, tears flowing both from laughter and severe pain as my stomach cramps really tug at the wound. Fuck, it hurts, but I can't for the love of me stop laughing. Eventually, Varissa chuckles and laughs it off as well.
Yeah.
The black male extends his paw towards me. Although I reach for it, I cannot get up, still held in the throes of my laughter. Eventually I hear a snorted chuckle from the black wolf, and that's what finally hushes me. I look at him in surprise, almost as if I couldn't believe the guy had the ability to laugh.
Pink suits you both. Looks almost as good on you as it does on the piglet.
Volgar throws to the white wolves who are frantically trying to wash off the stains with water, and I'm back in the dirt, rolling. This is comedy gold. I'm going to piss myself. Despite everyone looking at me, I can't stop laughing for a good few moments, sitting in the dirt and clutching my sides.
So he isn't mute. He's got a good set of lungs, that one.
The older wolf snorts in amusement.
I told you he'd ease up eventually.
Once Volgar sets up the bench again, I finally quiet down and grab onto it. I get up, dusting off my body and cloak, locking gazes with Ranok, who's looking at me with dreamy eyes, wide smile painted across his muzzle. I guess he's happy to see me laugh. Some of our interactions were rather depressing. He's simply giving us away. Reluctantly, I throw him a stern gaze. He's taking it the wrong way, narrowing his eyes in annoyance. I sigh, sitting down and looking back at the two wolves who still try to wash out the wine. Ranok takes this opportunity to get back at me by talking to one of the passing she-wolves. The female giggles as the invitation was the most amusing thing she'd ever heard. Real classy. I watch uncomfortably as the girl sits down into his lap and he embraces her reluctantly. Looking good tonight, Ranok? He gives me a discreet gaze as if to gauge my reaction. Really? You're trying to make me jealous?
Right back at you, gorgeous.
Ooh, you are so strong. He bounces her teasingly in his arms and she giggles away. Good luck, pup. That's not going to work. You can flirt away all you like. I have an annoyance looking away towards the chief and Vither. Those who have been engrossed in conversation the entire evening. Having a friend like that must be nice. Ah, fuck it. The white male sighs in defeat and stops his frantic attempts at removing the stain. He quickly readjusts his expression, looks at me with a faint smile. No hard feelings. You're kidding, right? Varissa stands next to us, spreading her arms in annoyance, a long streak of pink fur going all the way from her neck down to her legs. I can't help but choke on another laughing fit. It was his fault. He's not the one who flipped the fucking bench. I need to wash and change. She sighs and leaves the table in a hurry. I almost shout out, I'm sorry, only to stop myself at the last second. I shake my head and return to face the table. Tano uses some cloth to dry up the spillage and places my cup back into position. Almost as if nothing happened, he reaches for a bottle and tries to refill it. Again, this time with more care, I shield the cup with my hand. Come on, the night is young. And since you cannot partake in any conversation, this is your only entertainment, no? I just looked at him with a stern gaze, which he only responds by reaching towards Tristan, snapping his fingers. Within moments, the brown rabbit quickly approaches us with a different bottle in his paws. Even being this close to me, the bunny tries to act all tough, giving me aggravated looks. He's not intimidating one bit. Especially not with that dumb barcode tattoo of his. At least try our mead. It's to die for.
Yes, the mead.
The older wolf claps his hands merrily, clearly cheered up by the prospect. At the corner of the eye, I can see Ranok is still engrossed in the conversation with that female. It almost looks as if he was taunting me with his flirtatious behaviour.
Is that the piss we sell to the tigers, or is it the proper one?
I'm offended by that question, Chief. The white wolf responds teasingly, dismissing Tristan leaning over the table to personally pour the old male a hornful. The chief drinks it up thirstily and releases a long, satisfied sigh.
That's the good stuff. Pour that kid some, let him learn what real ambrosia tastes like.
I instinctively remove my hand at the words, and immediately see Tano's eyes centre on me with a knowing smile. Fuck. I just gave myself away. My heart begins to race, and again he looks right into my eyes, the smile widening. He can definitely sense my anxiety, which I assume only confirms his suspicions. But to my surprise, he does not give me away. He rinses my cup with some water, slushing the contents towards the fire and placing it back in front of me. He pours the mead, giving me a discreet wink.
To your health, human.
The chief shouts out, laughing heartily and raising his horn. The female finally jumps off Ranok's lap to grab her own chalice. I can hear every other wolf stand up, following the chief's suit, and I'm slightly confused as to what to do. I want to stand up as well, but Tano gently pressed down on my shoulder, letting me know I should stay in my seat.
So that we may be rid of you before long.
Laughter erupts across the tables, and all the wolves howl in unison.
To the human's health!
I feel a blush creep upon my face. Facetious as it might have been, it feels nice to have a toast made in my honour. Oh, catch me! And she's back where she started, spoiling the moment. But I can't even get annoyed as my attention is immediately drawn to the rabbit behind them. Trist is practically seething with anger, locking his spiteful gaze at me. What is your deal, Bunny?
Right, let's give the youth some space and stretch our old paws. The last thing my old paws need is stretching.
I have your favourite leaf.
Should have started with that.
The two males take their leave, and I lose my only palatable distraction. The situation with Ranok begins to annoy me so much, I do all I can not to look in their direction. I guess he can make me jealous. I'm so dumb. Ranok can do whatever he likes, while Tris can go fuck himself. No one can force me to face that table. Instead, I observed the bonfire, where more and more wolves began dancing with loud and joyful music playing in the background. I recognised the sounds of fiddles, flutes, drums, and mandolin. The tunes they play are unexpectedly upbeat and very, very energising, with happy howls filling the air every now and then. I can't help but bop to the rhythm, smile appearing seemingly out of nowhere. They're having so much fun, I almost wish I could join in the dance. Reminds me of something I must have known. A real party. I can see Varissa is back, freshly changed. Though she looks mostly fine, the wine stain is still quite visible. Hope it's not permanent. As far as I know, wine is pretty much game over for everything. I watch her dance merrily with some strapping male, many wolves pairing up around them. They all swirl, paw in paw, jumping and cheering each other on. Eventually even Tano joins in, dancing with another male. This catches me by surprise. However, I notice a lot of same-sex wolves dance in pairs. They do so with equal fervour as opposite-sex couples. I guess that's not strange, and it gives me an idea. I turn to Ranok, hearing that he's now tart-free. I smile gently, nodding my head towards the fire with an expectant gaze, but he frowns.
I don't dance.
He utters quietly, continuing with his drink. I keep staring at him expectantly, but he simply calls the female back. As usual, she quickly rushes into his arms. Missed me already? Ranok basically showers with her attention. I have to look away, especially since Triss smirks at me with satisfaction. This is going to drive me insane. I almost jump up as a paw lands on my shoulder. I look up to the white male who musters the most charming smile I've seen the entire night. Will you do me the honour?
I blink, confused he wants to dance with me. The rhythm of the music takes a firm grip on my mind. I want to dance so badly. I look back at Ranok, who doesn't even notice us, caressing and flirting with that random stray. Fuck it. I shrug, looking up at the wolf, who takes a hold of my hand and pulls me in close. He notices my confusion as I try to gauge his steps from others. I just don't think about it and follow my lead. He's not wasting time, and feeling up the rhythm of the melody guides my gait into a skip as we swirl off towards the bonfire. I cannot contain laughter as everything spins around us, with different wolves passing us by in the same jovial dance. Tano has a firm grip on me, pulling my body right against his form. I might be smaller than Ranok and less muscly, but equally as defined. I'm surprised at first by the proximity. It allows him to better guide us in all twists and turns, and there's plenty of those. It almost feels like some mad carnival ride. I blush, feeling his chin rest upon my head. Even this small wolf dwarfs me. I surrender myself both to the music and the wine, and we spin off in the wild dance, as my screams of joy and laughter join the cacophony of howls and cheers. Tano is actually a good dancer, and I enjoy it for all it's worth. I rest my head against his breast, expecting the familiar smell of the forest. However, to my surprise, his scent is more earthy. My head gets dizzy with all the pivots and whirls. I lose complete sense of time just laughing into his chest. We could do this for the rest of the night for all I care.
Mind if I cut in?
We suddenly come to a stop, and I notice Ranok standing in front of us with a rather aggravated expression. I can hardly catch my breath through the workout, but Tano pulls me in closer. Actually, yes, we're having fun, aren't we? The white wolf looks at me with a coy smile. I'm nodding eagerly in agreement. Ranok had his chance, so he can go back to his admirers and let me have some fun.
Well, I insist. He's my charge.
The grey wolf says sternly, grabbing hold of my arm. I furrow my brow with a crude gesture. Seriously, he's making a scene now? I thought you were busy. I was only watching after him.
You're treading on dangerously thin ice, Tano.
By all means, then. Tano reluctantly lets go of me and walks away, clear smirk on his muzzle. I narrow my eyes, wondering if this was his plan all along. Ranok pulls me into a similar embrace Tano held me in, or he's much less gentle about it. He rushes into the dance, moving us along other pairs. Despite his bad mood, he's doing it quite graciously. I thought you said you can't dance. I mutter, clearly annoyed by this little spectacle.
Well, I said I don't, not that I can't.
He replies, equally irritated. I just roll my eyes, allowing the male to lead our tempo. A few moments ago I'd have traded anything for this dance, but right now I just can't wait for it to be over. I'm not okay with being a rope in this stupid tug-of-war.
For someone so smart, you're sure not to make a fool of yourself.
Ah, you're the one to talk. I want to add something about that shameless flirting, but I can see he's no mood for conversation. Why, I'd feel the fire when it's already burning my skin. I just resign myself to his lead. Eventually the song ends and Ranok releases his hold on me. I look up at him with clear disappointment, or he pays me with a hurt gaze. I seriously don't get you. I sigh, returning to the table and taking my seat next to the white wolf. Ranok follows suit. However, he stops and instead heads toward the nearby group of wolves, engaging with them in an idle chatter. I feel Tano's gaze drill into me with a provocative smile, and all I can do is face him with a dumb expression. I know that dance was a setup, but I also wanted to stick it up to Ranok. Guess we both got what we wanted in the end. Triss tries to taunt me again, but I smirk nastily, remembering the rabbit stew we made the other day. Scurry about your business, Bunny, unless you get eaten if you're not too careful. I might fear these wolves, but you've got a long way to go to intimidate me. I just sit there slouching, resigned to Tano's company. With no one at the table, he seems almost disinterested in me. I guess everything he did was for show, or to elicit a reaction from either me or Ranok. He still serves me some food, but my appetite is long gone. Eventually Ranok returns to his seat, his expression slightly softer than before. Perhaps he cooled off. From what, though, I cannot tell. I'm still confused about everything that's going on here. It's quite fascinating to see a human up close. Here we go again. Incredibly meek and fragile species, still unaccountably present. He rubs my shoulder, but I don't protest. I'm beyond caring at this point. Besides, each time I did, Ranok felt the need to be my knight in shining armour. It really doesn't help to keep our charade going. Or at least keep whatever's left of it.
Almost feels like Mother Moon gave up on you halfway through your creation. Isn't that right? He asks with a cruel, mocking tone known full well I cannot retort. His sudden shift in attitude makes it clear he knows I understand them. I must admit, I begin to warm up to your gratifying any mute friend. He faces Ranok, whose fur bristles with anger like I've never seen before, his fangs showing in a snarl of barely contained fury. Even Trist is freaked out, meaning he's rarely seen his former master in such a state.
He's not my friend.
The grey wolf spits through a growl, giving me a cold stare. It hurts to hear it more than I thought it would, especially with Trist smiling in satisfaction. I know Ranok doesn't mean it, but fuck. It's hard to keep things together with so many people trying to get at you at this table. No? Oh. The white wolf looks at me, clearly seeing my distress. He knows. He played us both like a fiddle. Guess it wasn't just Ranok who allowed himself to be led on a leash. Sorry, I just assumed that since he wears your cloak, there's more to it. And you two dance so well, you make quite a pair.
For once I'd like to finish mine without having to taste your bile, Tano.
I was merely... Many times I had to put you back in line. It would be tiresome to have to do so again, pup. The two older males interrupt this spat, looking at all three of us with annoyance. Why am I being stared at? I'm not even part of this. Not actively, at least. And my apologies, Chief. The white wolf bows respectively and stands up. I'll take my leave. I'm incredibly tired and had too much to drink. I barely stifle a scoff, knowing full well he only had water. And also need to get rid of that stain. He looks back to me, trying to ruffle my hair in a playful manner, but I tilt away. Enough is enough. I look forward to seeing more of your little hostage, Ranok.
He's not.
Yeah. I can see Ranok wants to continue this spar, but I cut him off with another angered stare. I don't want this to drag on, and thanks to my intervention, Tano finally takes his leave, and I can sigh in relief. I was hoping that with the white wolf gone, Ranok would invite me to sit with him. However, I seem to have annoyed him. The grey wolf avoids looking at me, and whenever he does, he has a petulant expression. The dinner continues for quite a while longer, with everyone just talking merrily and drinking. I'm a lightweight, but I try to keep up as much as my body allows me with all the wine passed around. Seeing Volgo talk with others and laugh is a refreshing view, giving me an entirely new perspective on the male. He tries to keep stoic and silent most of the time, wherever he allows himself an occasional smirk or a chuckle. I can't partake in any conversation, but it is nice seeing everyone so happy and so engaged. I might have no memories, but I know I've never experienced anything so communal. I think it's their daily routine is almost heartwarming. Whatever my life might have been before, I know it was much, much lonelier than this. I see Trist's regular menacing expression change to sudden shock. In fact, pretty much everyone is looking at me with slight confusion.
You okay, Piglet?
I jump up, realising the black wolf scooted over to me, leaning into my ear. So that's what spooked Trist. We've all been friendly. I look to the black male with a smile, knowing full well I can't really respond with everyone watching.
Well, tap once for yes and twice for no.
I sigh and tap once. I'm not exactly okay, but there isn't much we can do about it. I think Volgo noticed I'm not being truthful as he smiles knowingly.
Will you have a drink with me? I don't drink with just anyone, but you've earned it.
He nods towards my patched side and I chuckle. How could I refuse? I tap once on the table, to which the black wolf smiles with satisfaction. Volgo waves to Trist and he scurries quickly towards us with a rather worried expression. Again the rabbit rushes towards us at neck-breaking speed, clearly demonstrating deference to those wolves.
Usual, now.
The black male utters crudely and the rabbit nods. I must admit, watching him run behind the tables in such a panic does bring a smile to my face. He hastily returns with the familiar clay bottle. Bull dismisses him without a care and opens it with a satisfying pop. He takes my cup and slushes out the remaining mead I haven't finished towards the fire. I can see him fill it up with a clear liquid and the boozy smell hits my nose. Fuck, it's the moonshine again. I should have tapped twice, but too late to back out now.
I don't mind him.
He whispers softly, nodding towards Ranok and pouring my share.
He can act like an idiot, but you'll learn to look past that. Oi, Ranok. Care to join us?
The grey wolf looks at me with a rather concerned expression.
Well, isn't that a bit much for him? Don't be such a den mother. A kid ain't a flower, he can take a lot.
Volgor winks at me and I almost blush at the double entendre. I readjust myself and give Ranok a challenging look. He's reluctant at first, but finally smiles at me, whatever annoyed him gone thanks to Vol's intervention. Ranok grabs his own cup and the black male pours him some moonshine. Fuck, it really smells. Can't believe anyone would drink this willingly. It's almost nauseating as if one gets drunk just by whiffing it. We raise our cups and clink them merrily. The two males down the contents in one go. However, I'm nowhere near that drunk or brave. I try to chug at least half my share, but my stomach says a definite no. I rub my mouth clean as they both laugh at me. You said he wasn't a flower. Ranok chuckles mockingly and I huff in annoyance. I'll show you a flower. I take the cup, holding in my breath and empty it in one go, knocking it on the wood as I do so. Fuck, this tastes like shit. I bang the cup back onto the table and realise that more wolves are actually watching. I receive a round of applause and even the chief is giggling at my defiant expression. Told ya. Vol smirks at me approvingly. The dinner continues on, with Volgor bringing me over a slice of that roasted pork that was teasing me over the past few hours with its smell. Killed it myself, he says proudly, placing a large slice in front of me. I nod towards him knowingly. Tenderloin, got you the best cut. He pulls out his dagger, twirling it between his fingers. As a sort of tribute. He leans towards my ears, whispering, The only thing I stabbed that walked away and lived. Enjoy that fact. I almost choke on my wine as the blush floods my face. If Gaze could kill, Trist would be my murderer. He's seething at the attention Vol showers me with. I'm not sure it's my pettiness or simply drunken haze, but I embrace the black wolf. It might have been a miscalculation, as the male nearly pulls away from me, but in the last second he reluctantly returns the embrace with one paw. The chief laughs, noticing us. That kid has a clear death wish. Try to rein yourself in, Volgor. He's under ancestral protection. Wouldn't want to banish our greatest champion over a handsy human. The old male bursts into laughter, with many others following suit. I can see Vol give me a rather annoyed gaze as we pull apart. Eventually he scoffs and ruffles my hair. Not to worry, Chief. The piglet simply had too much to suckle on. I chortle and quickly cover my mouth, realise I'm being too obvious about understanding the jokes. The merriment continues, and now that pretty much everyone has had enough to drink, wolves start wandering around the tables, and the atmosphere becomes more casual. I simply observe, bathed in the orange glows of the bonfire, taking it all in. Is this how they live every day? It really seems like a wonderful place to call home. I enjoy seeing Ranok on his element, chatted up by passers-by, laughing and being sociable. Different wolves come up to him, talking about wrestling matches, sparring and hunting. He's clearly an impressive individual, and many look up to him. I can see females fawn over him as well. Every now and then a different one bringing him something to either drink or eat. He is a bachelor, all right. At least now he's been less handsy, which proves that previous behaviour was aimed at me. I still don't understand why, but it's nice to see the wolf I know. He notices my not-so-discreet glances and grins. Oh, want to arm wrestle? I gaze the grey wolf in surprise as this comes out of nowhere. He doesn't seem drunk, but he's clearly intoxicated with all the attention he's getting, and he's fishing to get some from me. I frown, seeing Vol smirking with almost wild satisfaction. Want me to humiliate you twice in the same day? Oh, I feel this time luck is on my side. The grey wolf winks at me and I blink, hoping no one saw this. It's hard to stop a blush from creeping onto my cheeks. Vol scoffs and simply scoots over, pushing me with his warm body out of the way, effectively taking my spot in front of Ranok. Their arms rest on the table, easily breaching the distance between the two sides. I look attentively as their left paws lock in place, while the wolves measure each other in anticipation. Don't know why I get nervous. It might have something to do with all the wolves suddenly paying close attention to the event. Suddenly their muscles tense up, and I almost see veins perk up underneath the fur on their biceps. Soft growls escape their throats, and fangs begin to show ever so slightly as they strain against each other. I feel my heart speed up as I get wrapped up in the exhilaration caused by the mixture of their laboured huffs and onlooker cheers. Even the chief is observing the match, laughing and holding idle chatter with some of the other wolves. But as impressive this display is, it's clear Vol has the upper paw and slowly begins to twist Ranok's arm toward the table. Despite everything, I cheer for Ranok, but I can see their little spat gets a bit too competitive for my liking, as soft growls evolve into vicious snarls. Although others are cheering on, I'm getting slightly uncomfortable with the amount of aggression on their muzzles, and suddenly my proximity unnerves me. I try to stand up and move away from the table, my heart getting back into that familiar prey mentality when I bump into one of the wolves passing by, who instinctively pushes me back, right into Volgo's lap. I land on the black wolf's thighs with slight embarrassment as he looks down at me with complete surprise. Ranok uses this to his advantage and quickly slams Vol's paw right into the table.
Ah, I knew that kid was my lucky charm.
He shouts out with satisfaction, standing up from his seat and raising his paws triumphantly. Everyone starts to cheer while I blush up at the remark.
Little jinx.
The black male gazes at me. There's no ire in his eyes, just mild amusement. A discreet wink seals this, and he helps me back to my seat. With the match concluded, most of the wolves return back to their previous occupations, idly chatting away about their tribal affairs. I start to slowly doze off here, stopping myself a few times from keeling over. Finally, around midnight, the wolves begin to disperse. Once the chief stands up bidding everyone good night, it's a sign we can head back home.
Already come with me to the villa.
And stay the night again? You sure you want that sort of reputation?
With the number of pups easily traceable to your loins running around, I don't fear idle gossip.
You would know best what comes out of my loins, wouldn't you?
The fuck did you say?
For a moment it seems like Vitha crossed the line as the chief gives him a dead stare, then both wolves erupt in laughter.
One of these days, I swear.
I chuckle at their exchange, but also sigh in relief.
Oh, tryst.
Ranok looks at the bunny and bangs his chest, followed by patting of his arm. The bunny nods and rushes off. This was exhausting. As much as I enjoyed seeing everyone having fun, I don't think I'd be able to manage this on a regular basis. Rather than me having to keep quiet, might as well be a fucking tree here. I feel sorry I cannot fully participate. There are so many fascinating wolves around. Then again, even if I could speak, what would I have to offer? I had no idea what they're talking about half the time. My point of reference is completely alien. Eventually Ranok comes over to me, extending his paw in an inviting gesture. I grab onto it reluctantly and leads us back to his home. I snuggle into his biceps, fueled by the alcohol haze, but he doesn't seem to mind. As we approach the cottage, I notice smoke coming out from the chimney and an orange glow flooding out the windows. How are the lights on?
Oh, I asked Tris to get the fire going.
I thought you let him go.
Well, I did. It doesn't mean I cannot ask him to run some errands. Careful, the step.
I know. I nod, hopping over the uneven stone. As we enter the house, I greet the warmth of the already burning hearth with a wide smile. It got quite chilly. Ranok quickly removes his gear and I follow suit, unpinning the cloak and returning it to the hanger. We don't talk, both of us clearly bothered by how the day played out. The silence is palatable, and it's just a waiting game until one of us breaks it. It would seem it wouldn't be him, and I lack the courage. Ranok simply approaches the cupboard and slushes his face with water. Once he's done, he walks slowly towards the bedroom. I take my turn at the water bowl, cleaning my face and hands. I'm really quite confused what the hell actually happened out there. I gaze reluctantly at the room and slowly move towards it. He's just sitting here at the foot of the bed, idly toying with something in his paw. I sit down next to him, keeping an appropriate distance and allowing silence to claim us. The white glow of the moon seeps into the room through the window and we both keep staring at the shadows. Finally he exhales and looks at me with a saddened expression.
Well, tonight wasn't a complete disaster.
Yeah, could have gone better though. He simply nods. I seem to have angered you somehow. At times I thought you were trying to get back at me. The wolf takes a deep sigh.
Well, I may have acted a little bit childish. It was nice of Vol to intervene.
So that's what it was. Vol doesn't act nice by default. He kind of forced his paw.
Oh, I just don't understand. What on earth were you thinking? We told you to stay away from Tana. Why'd you willingly sit next to him?
He sounds almost accusatory and I stumble to find the right words. It was the spur of the moment. Everyone was looking at me. Now that I think about it, it did make sense. I could have ignored him, but I felt such pressure from all the wild stares that I simply obeyed.
And then you let him crawl all over you.
Hold on, no, that's not fair. I interrupted, feeling as if I'm taking a stand on trial. You think I enjoyed that? What was I even supposed to do? Make it seem as the guy's being polite towards me?
Well, I tried to help you out, but each time I did, you were shutting me down.
You were causing a scene.
I was.
The wolf stands up, looking at me with clear hurt in his eyes and subduing a soft growl.
What about you prancing around with a mortal wound in your side? Was that not a scene?
I'm taken aback by his harsh questioning, but he is right. I slapped my forehead in annoyance at my own stupidity. I got so drunk and wound up I completely forgot about the wound, not aided by the fact I can barely feel it half the time. That's what the dance was about? Why didn't you say so?
Well, I was angry, hurt.
His voice slightly wavers and he looks away. Hurt? Why would you be hurt?
Well, you pushed me aside and then...
He presents to me his paw, his clawed fingers opening to reveal my lucky dandelion resting in his palm. I feel my stomach churn, remembering how I ceremonially placed it in my pin, just to simply lose it. What? How?
Well, during that damn dance. You didn't even notice.
The tone of his voice causes my heart to sink. He really took my earliest sentiment to heart, for I treated it so lightly. Again, he proves how much he values what I say, or feel. Seems even more so than I do myself. Ranok, I mutter apologetically, picking up the flower from his paw.
Oh, that's fine. Marissa was right. I did throw you to the wolves. I should be more understanding. You're doing your best. Even Wolf was smart enough to notice you needed support. Oh, of all wolves.
He scoffs at himself. We were under a lot of stress.
When my father started paying close attention, I didn't know what to do. I panicked and did the first things expected of me, be an eligible heir. Or anything to make him lose interest in us, so I played along.
Even though I still think his flirty behaviour had more to it, I can see now he's putting up a front.
Or at least, well, that's what I told myself. I might have used the situation to also try and get under your skin.
That she-wolf. He nods apologetically. So he was trying to make me jealous. But why?
Well, it's all because that meddling bastard. He always tries to fuck with me.
Well, he fucked with both of us. I tried to comfort him. In truth, we both allowed ourselves to be played like chumps.
Yeah, I know. Still, I hope that for once I'd have an actual ally at that table.
He says calmly. It's not the tone, but the choice of words that cuts deep. He felt alone, abandoned, just as I did. This whole night, each of us desperately sought a lifebuoy, drowning without even realising we were just inches away from the safety of a friendly shore. I'm sorry for leaving your side.
Well, it's all right.
He tries to compose himself, slowly rebuilding his walls. So obviously, Ranok doesn't like to show cracks in his facade. Good. I decide to play along, to let him know I support him no matter what he chooses. He got back at me. He gives me an inquisitive side-eye and decides to lighten the mood. By the end of the night, you're literally drowning in bitches. I snort at my own joke, but Ranok does not seem amused.
Well, it's supposed to be our night, but as always, he had to fuck it up. But if he thinks I'll stand idly by as he messes with my happiness once again.
He cuts off, subduing a wild snarl. I know he's talking about us, but why did he say happiness?
Well, next time he touches you will be the last time he had paws.
I wince slightly, seeing as his fur bristled and fangs poke out in a vicious snarl. He drills his intense gaze into me. He feels very territorial, almost possessive. Ranok. I try to calm him down, touching his clenched paw. The male regards me with a sorrowful gaze, and I feel so incredibly sorry for him. We were meant to be there for each other, and yet we allowed a little troll to set us against one another. His rattled breath begins to slow down as I stroke his paw. I didn't realise he feels so strongly about me. So far I thought it was all his fake mindset. He just protected his path. But it seems there's a little bit more to it than that. The alcohol haze is muddling my judgment, and I lean over towards him. Without thinking, I want to plant a kiss onto his cheek, but manage to stop myself halfway over. He notices that and blinks, turning towards me with a shocked expression. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I swallow heavily and pull away, seeing his wild stare drilling into me. Fuck, I'm drunk. What the hell am I thinking? I scoot further away towards the headboard, afraid of his reaction. He said he's not gay, and I've seen plenty of evidence at the feast. I have crossed the line. Before I realise it, he rushes me, slamming us hard against the board in a tight embrace. A gasp escapes my lips as he dives in for a kiss. It's deep and passionate. I keep staring into his closed eyes, not sure what's actually happening. His paws venture freely across my body as he leans us over into the bedding, not breaking the seal on our lips. I'm practically enveloped by his massive form, his soft fur brushing against my naked skin as we sink into the mattress. Snug in such an embrace, I surrender myself completely, realising how much I wanted this. One paw cups my head while the other caresses my side, sending shivers across my entire body. Despite my complete surrender, he's not being forceful, reacting to my every twitch with his tongue. Time slows down, and I simply let go of any inhibitions, relaxing my muscles and my lips, allowing him full reign over me. But eventually, our lips part, and I look at him star-eyed as he breathes heavily, brushing my hair with each laboured huff. What the fuck just happened? I can feel his chest press against mine, and again I feel that familiar poking towards my groin. Ranok, I mutter through a blush, causing the male to snap out of his stupor. He pulls away almost in panic, clearing his throat.
Oh, sorry. I had too much to drink.
So did I. I want to reach out to him, but he simply grabs a few blankets from the bed and heads towards the doors.
Well, I think it's best if we return to our prior sleeping arrangements.
What? But without a word, he simply rushes to the doors and leaves, shutting them behind him. I'm left there, completely confused. Did I somehow make a mistake? For a moment I consider going after him. My head still spins with the haze of the wine fed me by Tano. Motherfucker messes with me even when he's not around. That white piece of shit is dangerous. I slam my fist against the bedding, realizing it's the worst possible time for us to unload this shit show. He said he's not like me, and yet the kiss felt completely genuine. Fuck. I just slump into the bed, screaming silently into the pillow. I'm so helplessly confused. This is a never-ending nightmare. To be continued. And I have absolutely no idea how long this video is going to be. I had to take a meal break halfway through. But yeah, if you like it, please rate it on itch if you can and you want to. Please support Kale on Patreon. And you can follow me on Twitter as well. That was the latest build of Far Beyond the World. I'm recording this on the winter solstice because I'm in the far north of the northern hemisphere. It might be the summer solstice for you guys. I don't know where any of you are. But it's that time of year. Whatever you might or might not be celebrating, hope you have a very safe and happy holiday season. It's been a hell of a strange year. It can only get better from here, but while we can, even if it's only with a few people, let's try and enjoy what we can at this time of year. So there will be more from me after the holidays. But until then, Nadolly Clown, Higid.